Hello everyone. We hope you're doing well. We're doing great, and we truly appreciate your ongoing support. We'd like to briefly address some comments regarding our audiobook series. Rest assured, progress is ongoing. That said, your feedback is vital. If there's a novel you particularly enjoy and want to hear more of, please let us know in the comments. Each chapter requires a financial investment, so we can only continue series that receive strong audience interest. Although we retain core names and plot lines, we make significant editorial changes to enhance clarity, pacing, and immersion. These are not simple recitations. We work hard to deliver a polished, thoughtful listening experience. Without sufficient feedback or engagement, we may need to discontinue a series. So if you're enjoying something, don't stay silent. Your input truly matters. Note, our default audio speed is 3x. If that's too fast, let us know. We're happy to adjust it. Interested in early access to unreleased audiobooks? Visit our Patreon. You'll get to experience new content before it reaches YouTube. Just to clarify, I'm a fan like you. I've purchased these novels and adapted them with care, while respecting all rights and guidelines. For updates, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, X. YouTube update: recently, YouTube flagged some of our content for including mature themes, realistic violence, and darker story elements. As a result, we've decided to stop uploading anything that violates YouTube's guidelines. If you'd like access to the full, uncut versions including the more intense or mature content, you can find them on our Patreon page, where we upload everything first. Available now on Patreon: Shattered Innocence transmigrated into a novel as an extra. Transmigrating over 10,000 years late, I was forced to become a mighty presence. I, the celestial dragon, rule the heavens through the double gate, reigning supreme in countless worlds with peace taming, Tower of God sequence strength, cultivation when you take things to the extreme. Naruto is Uchiha with cyst. WTF, the centuries-old ancestor in our family take concubine again. Plus 18, Ichi, reincarnated in Bleach as a wizard. Thanks for listening and happy listening. His calm and emotionless voice slightly startled Kohaku. Kohaku nodded weakly, still trying to gather his scattered consciousness. His head felt heavy and spinning, his body felt weak and sore from the Kaguya clan's pursuit and the long journey he had just undertaken. He looked around in confusion, trying to recognize this new place. Lush trees, a clear river, and fresh air. All felt foreign to him. Tsubasa explained his actions of suddenly making them faint earlier. Calmly, Tsubasa said that he used a secret ninjutsu to move them all to this valley quickly and safely. He deliberately did not reveal the true power of venom, to maintain the secrecy of his power. Tsubasa added a fabricated reason, saying that this transfer ninjutsu required other people to lose consciousness so as not to experience side effects such as dizziness and nausea. A reason that was reasonable enough to cover up the true capabilities of venom. He saw Kohaku listening to his explanation carefully, his face showing that he was considering his words. Kohaku listened to Tsubasa's explanation attentively. Although a little doubt lingered in his heart, he felt that the explanation was logical and acceptable. After all, he had no reason not to trust his new master. Tsubasa had saved them from destruction, and brought them to this safe and fertile place. In his heart, Kohaku guessed that his new master, Tsubasa-sama, possessed some kind of extraordinary space-time ninjutsu, a very rare and powerful ability. He felt amazed and slightly shocked by Tsubasa's power that was constantly being revealed. Every time he saw Tsubasa in action, he was always stunned by new abilities that he had never expected before. It felt like staring into a bottomless abyss of power. Tsubasa waited for the other Kongo clan members to fully wake up, then he explained the purpose of bringing them to this valley. He wanted to make sure everyone was ready and focused to receive this important information. Welcome to the Hidden Valley. From now on this place will be your new home, Tsubasa said in a formal tone, announcing the beginning of a new life for the Kongo clan. His words were spoken steadily and authoritatively, but also contained a promise of hope for the future of the wounded clan. He explained that he had given them the task of building a new village in this valley, as a home and base for the Kongo clan. This was a golden opportunity for them to start over and rebuild their clan which had been destroyed and scattered. Tsubasa showed them the vast and fertile area in the valley, which he had chosen as the location for the new ninja village. Nutrient-rich soil, abundant water sources, and natural protection from the surrounding mountains made this place ideal for a new settlement. He gave them an area that had been specifically allocated for the Kongo clan within it. He showed them the design and layout of this ninja village with a blueprint that he took out from a storage scroll. The blueprint was neatly rolled out, showing Tsubasa's vision for the future of their ninja village. Inside it could be seen a magnificent Kage building, areas allocated for various ninja clans, as well as civilian areas such as markets, training areas, and so on. The village was designed to be a new center of power, where various ninja clans could coexist and support each other. Tsubasa also gave the Kongo clan freedom and autonomy to manage their own clan area in this village. He wanted them to feel ownership and responsibility for the development of this new village. He believed that with freedom and trust, they would be able to grow and make a great contribution. Trust was key to building loyalty and dedication. The Kongo clan listened to Tsubasa's explanation with full attention and deep gratitude. Tsubasa's words gave them new hope and spirit. They were touched and grateful for the kindness and generosity of their new master. After giving initial explanations and instructions, Tsubasa was about to excuse himself to continue with his other business. He still had many things to work on, including continuing his research and preparing himself to face the Karasuma clan whose strength he did not fully understand. However, Kohaku stopped Tsubasa before he could leave. There was something else he wanted to ask, a final request that was very meaningful to him. The tone of his voice turned hesitant and hopeful. Kohaku hesitantly asked for Tsubasa's help once again, this time to bring his younger sister and his fiancée to this valley. Worry was clearly visible on his tired face. He told a poignant story about being separated from his family when they fled from the Kaguya clan's pursuit. Kohaku explained that he had hidden the two women in a safe place while they were being chased by the Kaguya clan. In the chaos of escape and battle, he was forced to leave them and hope that the Kaguya clan could not find them. Kohaku was very worried about their safety and wanted to bring them to a safe place in this valley as soon as possible. He felt responsible for the safety of his sister and fiancé, and would not be at peace until they were reunited. Tsubasa agreed to help Kohaku. He understood the worries and feelings of the Kongo clan leader. He knew that family was an important bond, especially in difficult situations like this. Empathy and humanity within him were awakened. Tsubasa took out a map from a storage scroll in his ninja bag, asking Kohaku to point out where his sister and fiancé were hiding. He wanted to ascertain their location before starting this rescue mission. After Kohaku pointed out the target location on the map, Tsubasa understood the distance and estimated travel time. A secluded cave in the mountains, not too far, but quite isolated. So, the two should be safe enough. He sprayed a purple gas that could make people faint again at Kohaku, this time after asking for his permission first. He did not want Kohaku to feel disrespected or mistreated. Kohaku obeyed and fainted again, entrusting this journey entirely to Tsubasa. He was sure that Tsubasa would be able to bring him safely to his sister and fiancé's hiding place. Tsubasa left the Kongo clan group a bit far away, making sure they were safe and no one could see him using venom. He didn't want his venom power to be known by his new subordinates, at least for now. He activated venom and moved at high speed towards the location that Kohaku had pointed out on the map. The rescue mission began. The wind whistled loudly in his ears as venom sped underground. After traveling for some time with venom, Tsubasa arrived near the target location, a secluded cave in the mountains. He sensed the presence of two people inside the cave, as Kohaku had informed. He woke Kohaku up again, asking the Kongo clan leader to guide the way to the cave where his sister and fiancé were hiding. The rescue journey was coming to an end, and a heartwarming reunion was about to happen. Kohaku happily guided Tsubasa towards the cave, his heart filled with hope and joy. He couldn't wait to meet his sister and fiancé again, ensuring that they were safe and sound. His footsteps felt light, in line with his soaring hopes. The process of picking up the two women went smoothly without any obstacles. Kohaku's younger sister, Ru, and his fiancée, Hina, greeted Kohaku with tears of joy and relief. This reunion was so emotional and touching. Tears of emotion and tight hugs colored their reunion. They were very grateful to Tsubasa for his help and for saving their clan. They heard stories about the fierce battle against the Kaguya clan and how Tsubasa came to save the Kongo clan in the last moments. Their respect and admiration for Tsubasa grew even greater. He was not only a savior, but also a hero to them. After exchanging longing and expressing deep gratitude, the four of them returned to the valley using the same process as Tsubasa's arrival earlier, using venom for a fast and safe underground journey. The Kongo clan group finally gathered back in the new valley, ready to start their new lives in the new sanctuary that Tsubasa had promised. Togetherness and new hope enveloped them. This new hidden valley would be the beginning of the Kongo clan's revival and the start of Tsubasa's grand ambition in the ninja world. Tsubasa felt satisfied that he had helped the Kongo clan and gained new loyal subordinates. His decision to intervene in the battle turned out to be fruitful. Investments in kindness always yield unexpected results. However, he also realized that his responsibilities were increasing. He had to ensure the safety and well-being of all members in both valleys, including the newly joined Kongo clan. A long journey full of new challenges had just begun. The vast and mysterious ninja world awaited him with all its surprises and obstacles. His ambition to reach the pinnacle of ninja power burned even brighter, and he was ready to face everything in front of him. Chapter 17, Training and Secrets. Time is indeed a cunning thief. It creeps in silently, stealing days one by one without us realizing, until finally we look back and are surprised to see how far we have come. For Tsubasa, 2 years had passed in the blink of an eye. It felt like only yesterday that he, a curious 12-year-old boy, had set foot in the Takagami Valley to begin his ambitious research. Now, that boy had transformed. At the age of 14, Tsubasa had grown into a tall and sturdy teenager. His build was almost comparable to Naruto Uzumaki in the Shippuden era, a comparison that often brought a small smile to his face, imagining the silliness and cheerfulness of that most unpredictable ninja. However, the difference was clear. Tsubasa preferred spending his time in the laboratory rather than on the training grounds. His brain was his deadliest weapon. And how deadly that weapon was. The giant brain sealed within him worked tirelessly. Over the past 2 years, Tsubasa's research progress had soared like lightning. He explored the corridors of forbidden knowledge with extraordinary courage and intelligence, often making future genius scientists seem like schoolchildren just learning to read. His first achievement was the prototype of the soul transfer ninjutsu. A technique inspired by Orochimaru's future research, a domain considered taboo and dangerous even for the most experienced ninjas. This prototype was still far from perfect. There was a significant risk of soul damage to the host body, a side effect that made Tsubasa frown every time he thought about it. But, he murmured one night in his dimly lit laboratory, surrounded by strange equipment and scattered notes, this is the first step. A very big step. Then, there was the high-level concealment formation. Tsubasa successfully created an invisible barrier capable of enveloping the entire Takagami Valley and the Kongo Valley, valleys that he dreamed would become his ninja village in the future. This formation was so powerful that it could deceive sensor ninjas and even the most advanced tracking techniques. The valleys were now secret fortresses, safe and undetected, hidden from the eyes of a world full of intrigue. Not stopping there, Tsubasa also began to delve into cloning technology. Although still in its early stages, he had successfully created clones of small experimental animals. These clones only survived for less than a week and still had many limitations, but for Tsubasa, this was proof that he was on the right track. One day, he said with sparkling eyes full of conviction, I will definitely create a perfect clone. A clone that can last longer and perhaps possess some Kekkei Genkai. Today, the hustle and bustle of research subsided slightly. Tsubasa decided to take a break. Not to relax completely, of course. His genius brain never truly rested. Today, his focus shifted to improving the combat strength of his subordinates. He planned to hold joint intensive training between members of the Takagami Valley and the Kongo clan. 2 groups of ninjas with different fighting styles. This will be interesting, Tsubasa thought, reviewing the training plan on his desk. Seeing them work together, combine their strengths, face challenges together. A small smile graced his face. He had prepared a special training area in a forest that was quite vast. The forest was surrounded by protective formations, a perfect arena to test the limits of his subordinates' abilities. That morning, Tsubasa gathered all members of the Takagami Valley and the Kongo clan at the edge of the forest. The morning sun pierced through the leaves, creating spots of light on the ground. The air felt fresh and cool, but tension hung heavy in the air. The faces of the young ninjas looked serious and slightly anxious. They knew that Tsubasa never did anything without a clear reason. Tsubasa stood before them, his posture upright and full of confidence. Today, he said in a loud and authoritative voice, we will hold special training. Training that will test your abilities, strengthen the bonds between us, and prepare ourselves for future threats. He explained about the forest area he had prepared. Inside that forest, Tsubasa continued, his tone made slightly mysterious, I have placed strong ninjas that I have captured. They are enemies. Enemies who want to kill us. Some ninjas in the front ranks exchanged glances, their eyebrows raised. Enemies? They thought. All this time, the Takagami Valley had been relatively calm and safe. Where did these enemies come from? Tsubasa continued without giving them a chance to ask. I captured them, he said, slightly lying, because they tried to attack our valley. Now, they will be your training targets. I have ordered them to attack with the intent to kill. This is a test for you. A true test. He added, in a tone made more dramatic, I have also promised them. If they manage to defeat or even kill one of you, I will release them. The eyes of the young ninjas widened. The tense atmosphere grew thicker. A threat of death in training? This was no joke. So, Tsubasa warned, be careful. Do not underestimate this training. Your lives could be at stake if you are not vigilant and serious. Tsubasa's subordinates listened to their lord's explanation intently. Tension and anxiety were clearly visible on their faces. They sensed an aura of danger emanating from the training they were about to face. They did not know that the prisoners they were about to fight were actually shadow clones created by Tsubasa himself. Clones that had been enhanced with a layer of venom, making them appear and react like real humans. These clones would not simply disappear after dying. They would bleed, fall, and remain lying like real corpses, creating a highly realistic and tense battle illusion. "Alright," Tsubasa exclaimed, breaking the silence. "Enough explanation. Now, let's start the training." The intensive training began. Tsubasa's subordinates entered the prepared forest area. They walked cautiously, their eyes alert, observing their surroundings. The sound of the wind rustling through the trees, the chirping of birds, all felt quieter and more frightening than usual. Suddenly, from behind the bushes, a ninja figure appeared, dressed in tattered clothes with glowing red eyes. He roared and charged towards them with a drawn kunai. Fierce battle broke out instantly. Ninjutsu from various elements clashed, creating explosions and flashes of light that deafened the ears. The sound of hard impacts and battle cries echoed throughout the forest. Kya, with his powerful photon, wind style, strength, took the initiative. He created a giant twin tornado that swept through the trees and hindered the movement of the enemies. The whirlwind roared like a wild beast, causing tree branches to break and fly. Benkai, the earth-style giant, swiftly created a giant earth wall as a shield. The wall towered high, protecting his comrades from frontal attacks. Meanwhile, his fists, coated with large rocky soil, slammed into the earth, creating powerful shock waves. Jinga, with his water style, launched large waves and raging water dragons towards the enemies. The water hissed, crashing with tremendous force, trying to wash away and drown the prisoners. Hotaru, Ayam, and Madoka moved nimbly and agilely. They were a deadly trio of taijutsu, hand-to-hand combat, and shuriken jutsus. Hotaru jumped and spun like a dancer, attacking with quick and accurate punches and kicks. Ayam and Madoka threw shurikens with high precision, hitting the enemy's vital points from medium range. The Kongo clan members were no less impressive. They showcased their unique and mesmerizing crystal-style ninjutsu. The sparkle of crystals radiated from their hands as they created beautiful but deadly crystal weapons and traps. Meanwhile, the prisoner shadow clones also showed extraordinary strength. They attacked brutally and relentlessly, using various ninjutsu and ninja weapons. They jumped, ran, and screamed like wounded wild animals. The battle truly looked and felt like a life-and-death struggle. The battle was very intense and tense. Tsubasa's subordinates had to exert all their abilities and strategies to survive and defeat the enemies. They worked together, protecting each other, and supporting each other. Kya and Benkai protected the front lines, while Jinga and the Taijutsu, Shuriken Jutsu trio moved more flexibly, exploiting openings and attacking from various angles. The Kongo clan members provided long-range support with their crystal-style ninjutsu. Although the prisoner shadow clones attacked fiercely, they were actually holding back. They had been programmed by Tsubasa to provide real pressure and challenges, but still ensure the safety of his subordinates. They attacked strongly, but avoided potentially fatal strikes. They wanted to make the training feel real, but did not want any casualties. The battle continued for hours. Chakra was drained, bodies were injured and bruised. However, not one of Tsubasa's subordinates fell or died in this training. They all managed to survive and pass this tough test, albeit with difficulty and struggle. At the end of the training, all of Tsubasa's subordinates felt extremely exhausted, but also satisfied. They had gained invaluable combat experience, significantly improved their abilities, and strengthened the bonds of friendship between them. The fear and tension at the beginning of the training had now been replaced with a sense of pride and relief. They gathered before Tsubasa, their breath still ragged, sweat soaking their clothes. "Thank you, Tsubasa-sama," said Kya, representing the others. "This training was very hard. Very scary. But we learned a lot. We became stronger." The other young ninjas nodded in agreement. Hotaru, who was usually always cheerful, now looked serious and tired, but her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "At first, I was really scared," she said honestly. "I thought I was going to die in that forest. But we did it. We all survived." Tsubasa smiled at the progress of his subordinates. He felt proud of their strength and fighting spirit. "You have all worked hard," he said in a praising tone. "You have shown extraordinary courage, resilience, and teamwork. I am very proud of you." He then explained the truth about the prisoners. "Actually," Tsubasa said, with a slightly mischievous smile, "the prisoners you fought earlier were my shadow clones. There were no real enemies in that forest." Tsubasa's subordinates were shocked and relieved to hear Tsubasa's confession. They had just realized that they had been deceived by their own lord. Some of them chuckled at their foolishness, while others could only shake their heads in disbelief. "So, all of this was just a trick?" asked Benkai in a tone that was slightly confused but also amused. "All the tension, all the fear. Just fake?" "Not everything was fake," Tsubasa replied wisely. The pressure and challenges you faced were real. The combat experience you gained was real. Only the enemies were not real. But, isn't a realistic illusion exactly what is needed in training like this? The young ninjas were silent for a moment, digesting Tsubasa's words. Then, they nodded in agreement. They were not angry or disappointed for being deceived. On the contrary, they were amazed by Tsubasa's ingenuity and power to create shadow clones that were so realistic and strong. Lord Tsubasa is truly extraordinary, whispered Iom to Madoka. He always has a way of surprising us. And of making us stronger, Madoka chimed in with a smile. This intensive training not only succeeded in improving the combat abilities of Tsubasa's subordinates, but also strengthened the relationship between the Takagami Valley and Kongo clan members. They worked together, helping each other, and protecting each other in battle. They increasingly respected and trusted Tsubasa as their leader, acknowledging his wisdom and far-sighted vision. Tsubasa was satisfied with the results of this training. He was confident that his subordinates were ready to face even greater challenges in the future. In his mind, his next plan was already forming. A plan to avenge himself on the Karasuma clan. It's time to move forward, Tsubasa thought, his eyes radiating burning determination. It's time to demand justice. And with firm resolve, Tsubasa began to devise a plan of attack on the Karasuma clan. A plan that would bring his valley into a whirlpool of greater conflict, but also pave the way to the future he dreamed of. A future where he would become an unstoppable force in the ninja world. Chapter 18, Intrigue and Shadows in an Era torn asunder by ceaseless clan warfare, where the crimson stain of blood and the echoing cries of vengeance formed the grim soundtrack of daily life. Battlefields often transformed into stages for heart-wrenching tragedy. Yet, even amidst the relentless clashes between the Uchiha and Senju clans, there existed an anomaly. In a secluded corner of the ravaged field, far removed from the roaring heart of battle, stood three young ninjas, their silhouettes outlined by the smoky haze. This place was an aberration, devoid of the typical symphony of war, the deafening war cries, the clang of metal, the roar of ninjutsu. Only the whisper of wind rustling through tall grass and the gentle murmur of falling leaves punctuated the heavy silence. The three figures remained still, standing as serenely as characters in a painting, yet the aura surrounding them thrummed with unspoken emotions. It was a tempest of conflicting feelings, smoldering anger, the dim embers of friendship, longing for the past, and a hint of confusion about the future. One figure proudly wore the Senju clan crest, emblazoned upon his chest protector in clear relief. His long black hair, typically neatly arranged, was now somewhat disheveled, dancing wildly in the wind, conveying an air of untamed valor, yet also an underlying touch of melancholy. This was Senju Hashirama, the young leader of his clan, renowned for his unwavering benevolence and sky-high ideals, occasionally tempered by a touch of endearing naivete. The second figure was equally striking, perhaps even more so, and memorable. The iconic Uchiha fan, emblem of his clan, was boldly displayed upon his back. His spiky black hair framed a face hewn with steely determination, adding to his inherent aura of authority and power. This was Madara Uchiha, Senju Hashirama's lifelong rival and closest friend, a genius of extraordinary talent imbued with towering ambition but with a hidden sliver of tsundere sentiment. The third ninja presented a stark contrast. His short, silver-white hair was a beacon amidst the dark foliage and the black hair of Madara and Hashirama. No Senju or Uchiha clan symbols adorned his war attire. This was Tsubasa, our protagonist, drawn to this battlefield with the dual purpose of testing his own strength as a ninja. Furthermore, his presence here was also for reunion with his two old friends. "Turns out you came again, Tsubasa-san," Hashirama exclaimed, his voice laced with forced cheerfulness, attempting to mask the deep sorrow emanating from his eyes. This unending war had taken much from him, including his once infectious joviality. "Why are you here again, Tsubasa?" Madara retorted in a slightly curt, almost gruff tone. Yet beneath the abrasiveness, hints of longing and curiosity lingered. Madara was just like that, his pride as high as the heavens, but his heart was actually softer than marshmallow, if only anyone could see it. "Haha, long time no see, Madara, Hashirama. You two are as always, still inseparable," Tsubasa replied with a faint smile, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. He always felt like an outsider whenever he witnessed Hashirama and Madara's closeness, but also felt envy and admiration for their friendship. "Why don't you two just end this foolish war and get married already, so your clans can get along?" Tsubasa quipped his joke, hoping to bring back the moments of their friendship that were once full of laughter and banter. Hearing Tsubasa's jest, Hashirama chuckled, though it sounded somewhat strained. "Haha, you really always know how to joke around, Tsubasa-san," he said, scratching the back of his head awkwardly. Madara, however, reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. "Enough. Today, I will defeat you, Tsubasa," he roared angrily. Tsubasa's light-hearted suggestion, though clearly a jest, seemed to have struck a nerve with Madara. Perhaps it was too close to the unspoken truth about his complex relationship with Hashirama? All pretense of camaraderie forgotten, fueled by a surge of ire, Madara lunged forward to attack Tsubasa. Madara unleashed a rapid and forceful barrage of taijutsu, his movements honed by years of arduous training. The Sharingan in his eyes spun actively, poised to read, anticipate, and dissect every move of his opponent. He would not allow Tsubasa to look down on him again. Ha ha ha, let's dance then, Madara. Tsubasa retorted. A grin widened on his face as he gracefully parried Madara's aggressive onslaught. His movements were fluid and elegant, effortlessly evading Madara's punches and kicks, occasionally countering with light and probing strikes, carefully gauging Madara's current skill level. The taijutsu clash between Tsubasa and Madara commenced. Dust billowed around them as fists met palms, legs connected with shins, the sharp thuds echoing in the tense air. "Don't use my lines against me, Tsubasa!" Madara yelled, his fury escalating as he recognized his own taunt from their last sparring match reflected back at him. Madara was fiercely competitive, allergic to defeat, and even more allergic to being the butt of jokes. "Don't leave me out, you two!" Hashirama interjected, his voice tinged with sadness as he reluctantly joined the fray, interposing himself between Madara and Tsubasa. He felt left out and ignored by his two friends, even though he also wanted to join the fun of sparring, albeit in an inappropriate situation like this. The two-way duel morphed into a chaotic three-way melee. Madara, with his Sharingan-enhanced skilled taijutsu and a variety of mastered fire-style ninjutsu, set their battleground ablaze with crimson flames. Hashirama, wielding his newly awakened and ever-growing wood style, summoned wooden trees to parry attacks and ensnare his opponents. Tsubasa, with his agile taijutsu that he had trained for years, interspersed with versatile five-element ninjutsu combinations. He refrained from employing his more unconventional venom abilities, at least for this bout. The three-sided battle raged fiercely and evenly matched. The three young ninjas showcased their remarkable strength and talent. Each of them possessed their own strengths and weaknesses, yet their spirit of competition and camaraderie rendered this clash unique in the desolate, ravaged field. Hidden amongst the shadows of gnarled, ancient trees, a dark humanoid figure observed the fierce battle clash with narrowed eyes and keen interest. This was Kirizetsu, Black Zetsu, the physical manifestation of Kaguya Otsutsuki's malevolent will. For centuries, he had lurked in the shadows, perpetually monitoring and manipulating the history of the ninja world from behind the scenes. He was the mastermind behind many significant events, including the unending war between the Uchiha and Senju. Tsubasa, with his latest creation of perception ninjutsu, was acutely aware of Kirizetsu's subtle presence. He had sensed the creature's aura from the onset of the battle, but consciously chose to ignore it, and instead focused his attention on his fight with Madara and Hashirama. Tsubasa knew that Kirizetsu was always lurking around Madara and Hashirama, like a shadow that could never be truly expunged. All of this was because Madara and Hashirama were the reincarnations of Rikudo Sage's two sons. Tsubasa remembered another time, years ago, he had watched from a hidden vantage point as Madara and Hashirama's burgeoning friendship was brutally sundered by the rigid dictates of their clans. He had observed that scene in Venom mode. He silently observed the profound sadness and disappointment etched upon their faces back then. Kirizetsu had been there then too, probably trying to oversee, manipulate, and exacerbate the situation at hand. In his heart, Tsubasa suspected that Madara and Hashirama's separation was also the result of Kirizetsu's interference, who always sought to divide and destroy any hope of unity in the ninja world. After a protracted and grueling battle against his two formidable friends, Tsubasa emerged as the victor, though he had not won it easily. He had deliberately held back, his primary goal not domination, but to gauge his progress and to relish in the unique exhilaration of combat with his peers. "I win this time, Madara and Hashirama," Tsubasa declared after the intense fight. Then with a casual wave, Tsubasa bid farewell to Madara and Hashirama. "Well then, see you later. Hopefully we can meet again when this world is at peace," Tsubasa continued with a smile tugging at his lips. After offering a parting sentiment tinged with hope for a reunion in a brighter future, a future devoid of senseless war, Tsubasa departed the battlefield calmly. Once he had distanced himself from the battleground, and ensured he was free from prying eyes, Tsubasa melted into the earth, activating his venom ability to return to his secluded sanctuary in his valley. His body ached and throbbed from the battle, but his spirit was strangely invigorated. This encounter and fight had fulfilled its purpose, testing the limits of his abilities and reaffirming the strange and tenacious bonds he shared with Madara and Hashirama, even amidst the grim reality of war. Moments after Tsubasa vanished beneath the earth, Kirizetsu emerged from the shadows of the trees, his gaze fixed on the spot where Tsubasa had disappeared. A flicker of bewildered astonishment sparked in his usually cold, calculating eyes. How could that child vanish so quickly and completely, beneath his keen perception? Seeds of unease began to sprout in Kurozetsu's ancient mind. Tsubasa, this enigmatic young ninja, was proving to be an unpredictable variable, a potentially disruptive force. Was he truly powerful enough to rival this generation's reincarnations of Indra and Asura, Madara and Hashirama? Tsubasa's sudden emergence into the ninja world, his extraordinary abilities, and his mysterious persona posed unsettling questions to Kurozetsu's carefully laid plans. He felt an urgent need to observe, understand, and categorize this new element. Just who is that child? Kurozetsu muttered in a raspy voice. His eyes, narrowing into slits, smoldered with nascent suspicion and intrigue. The power he wields feels different. His chakra is also quite immense, unlike those ordinary ninjas. And his method of disappearing. It's as if he dissolves into pure darkness. Kurozetsu resolved to dedicate a significant portion of his attention to monitoring Tsubasa. He would track his movements, dissect his powers, decipher his ultimate objectives. He could not tolerate unpredictable elements in his meticulously controlled game, especially one with the potential to jeopardize his centuries-long scheme to revive his mother, Kaguya Otsutsuki. Tsubasa. Kurozetsu murmured the name with a sense of puzzlement, nascent curiosity, and ill intent. An interesting name. We will meet again, young one. And when that day comes, I will unravel all of your secrets. Kurozetsu vanished back into the darkness, leaving the silent battlefield behind. Yet, in his mind, questions about Tsubasa swirled, like tangled threads difficult to unravel. That brief encounter on the battlefield had opened a new chapter in the history of the ninja world, a chapter where a mysterious figure named Tsubasa began to play an increasingly significant role. And Kurozetsu, the shadowy puppeteer, now had to contend with the reality that there was a new power that might just be capable of thwarting his age-old plans. Chapter 19, A New Mission. The memory of the fierce battle with Madara and Hashirama had not fully subsided when Tsubasa returned to the Hidden Valley. His mind was in turmoil, filled with deep contemplation. The battle he had just experienced, though adrenaline pumping and thrilling, left a bitter taste in his mouth. Reuniting with old friends amidst raging warfare only served as a reminder of how cruel this ninja world was. A world he wanted to change. A world he would conquer. This world is truly ironic, Tsubasa murmured to himself, gazing at the valley sky as twilight began to fall. We fight, lose lives, for what? False peace? Fleeting power? He shook his head, trying to banish the dark thoughts that were beginning to surface. No. I must not be consumed by despair. I have a purpose. I have a dream I must realize. Without wasting time, Tsubasa quickened his pace towards his laboratory. This place was a silent witness to his hard work and dedication over the years. Its walls seemed to hold traces of every experiment, every failure, and every breakthrough he had achieved. The distinct aroma of chemicals greeted him, a scent that to him was like the fragrance of home. In the silence of the laboratory, only the sound of his footsteps echoed, accompanying his excited heartbeat. The laboratory corridors twisted and turned like a labyrinth, each holding Tsubasa's secrets and innovations. In one of the special rooms amidst the maze, a breathtaking sight greeted his arrival. In the center of the room, stood a large glass tube containing a shimmering greenish nutrient fluid. And inside the tube, floated a very familiar human figure. The figure of his older brother, Takagami Azura. Tsubasa's heart pounded. His steps felt heavy as he approached, his eyes scrutinizing every detail of the body inside the tube. The figure was perfectly whole, without the defects of the arms and legs that were once lost. A stark difference from Azura's once pitiful condition. His skin looked healthy and flushed, his silver hair floated gracefully in the fluid, his face was as peaceful as if he were sound asleep. Brother. Tsubasa whispered softly, a touch of longing enveloping his heart. This was the masterpiece of Tsubasa's years of research. A perfect clone of Takagami Azura's body. Tangible proof of the giant brain intelligence he possessed and his tireless perseverance. With the breakthrough technology he had mastered, Tsubasa successfully created a clone body and transferred his brother's soul into this new vessel. An extraordinary achievement, even in the ninja world filled with chakra miracles. More than just a physical clone, Tsubasa had also worked hard to ensure his brother's happiness. Azura's traumatic memories of being tortured and imprisoned by the Karasuma clan had been carefully sealed away by him. He wanted to give his brother a new chance to start a better life. Of course, Azura's memories before that terrible time were retained. He replaced the trauma with the illusion that his brother had just woken up from a long coma. A white lie that he believed would bring good. Tsubasa stared at the cloning tube with a mixture of pride and relief. This was one of his greatest achievements to date. Not just a scientific success, but also the most beautiful gift to himself. The dream of seeing his brother alive again, healthy and happy, was now almost a reality. Tsubasa smiled faintly, imagining how surprised Azura would be when he woke up later. Perhaps he would wonder why he was in a strange place after he had just taken a nap. "Rest easy, brother," Tsubasa whispered, this time in a more cheerful tone. "Everything will be alright. I promise." However, Tsubasa never stopped innovating. In addition to this monumental cloning project, he had also successfully created another very useful innovation, the ninjutsu property panel. A unique ninjutsu capable of displaying complete information about a ninja's properties in the form of a holographic panel, similar to a game system. This panel displayed the name, age, chakra attributes, total chakra, mastered ninjutsu, and various other important data. A comprehensive strength analysis that could be displayed instantly. It used the principles of high-level perception ninjutsu to scan information, sealing ninjutsu as its basic program, and ganjutsu released directly to the brain's nerves as the user interface, UI. Just imagine, in the midst of the battlefield, a ninja could instantly know their opponent's strength with just one glance. Truly a revolutionary innovation. Although the information displayed was not yet completely perfect, it was a huge step forward. "Alright, let's see how far I've progressed," Tsubasa thought, curiosity piquing him. With a hand gesture, he opened his own property panel. A holographic screen appeared before him, displaying his latest data. Property panel player name, Takagami Tsubasa. Age, 18. Chakra attributes, fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, yin, yang. Body, vitality, 145. Soul, mental, 140. Total chakra, 500k, 5 newtons. Note, average elite jonin for body and soul is around 30, chakra unit. K equals Kakashi, N equals Naruto. Chakra amount is not determined by body and soul value alone, but also other talents, such as Sasuke certainly has body and soul data almost equal to Naruto, but Naruto's chakra far exceeds Sasuke. This is at least the setting of this book. Mastered ninjutsu, fire style, grand fireball jutsu, dragon flame jutsu, etc. Water style, water dragon bullet jutsu, water wall jutsu, etc. Wind style, Rasen shuriken, wind blade jutsu, etc. Earth style, earth wall jutsu, earth golem jutsu, etc. Lightning style, Rikiri, lightning blade, Kirin, etc. Yin yang release, soul transfer ninjutsu, unnamed, ninjutsu property panel, unnamed, etc. Mastered technology, cloning, artificial chakra metal creation, etc. Mastered taijutsu, advanced taijutsu, advanced shuriken jutsu, etc. And many more. On the panel it was clearly written Takagami Tsubasa, age, 18 years old. Real proof that time had passed and Tsubasa had grown up. 18 years old. A mature age for a ninja, the right age to start a bigger movement. Tsubasa felt extraordinary power flowing within him. The result of years of hard training, tireless research, and the relentless absorption of corpses with venom. He felt like a Digimon that had evolved into its ultimate form. "Yes, this is the time," Tsubasa hissed, his eyes gleaming with determination. Tsubasa realized that now was the right time to face the Karasuma clan. To demand retribution for the destruction of his family. The vengeance that had long burned in his heart was now ready to be unleashed. His main agenda in returning to the valley this time was to gather his subordinates and prepare for an attack on the Karasuma clan headquarters. He decided not to involve the Kongo clan in this mission. He felt that his own strength was enough to accomplish this task. After all, the Kongo clan had no direct grudge against the Karasuma clan. "This is my business. My family's revenge. I must settle it myself," Tsubasa thought. However, he was still bringing backup. He chose 3 trusted subordinates from the Takagami Valley, Kya, Jinga, and Benkai. 3 young ninjas who had loyally followed him from the beginning. They were chosen not only for their loyalty, but also because their families shared a similar history of grudges with the Karasuma clan. Blood ties and vengeance were the strongest glue in the ninja world. Kya was always enthusiastic and outspoken, Jinga was calm and analytical, while Benkai was large and quiet but extremely reliable. This trio was the perfect team to support Tsubasa. Despite bringing them along, Tsubasa emphasized that Kya, Jinga, and Benkai would not be directly involved in the battle at the Karasuma clan headquarters. They would have an important role outside the headquarters, namely to watch over and prevent members of the Karasuma clan from escaping during the attack. A crucial task, albeit not appearing heroic. "You are my last line of defense. Make sure not a single one of them escapes," Tsubasa ordered in a serious tone. Initially, Tsubasa's 3 subordinates objected to their lord's plan to act alone. They were worried about Tsubasa's safety and felt that they should participate in the battle. Their worry and loyalty were genuine, they truly cared about Tsubasa. "Tsubasa-sama, we do not agree with this plan," Kya said firmly, representing his 2 comrades. "The Karasuma clan is not an easy opponent. They have many strong ninjas and solid defenses. You cannot attack them alone. Jinga chimed in, yes, Tsubasa-sama. We are ready to fight by your side. Let us help you in this battle. Benkai added in his deep voice, we do not want anything bad to happen to you. We would feel guilty if something were to befall you. Hearing his subordinates' worries, Tsubasa smiled faintly. He understood their feelings. Their loyalty was indeed beyond doubt. However, he also wanted to show them how strong he had become. Calm yourselves, you three, Tsubasa said in a calm but confident tone. I understand your concerns. But trust me. I will not be reckless. I have considered everything carefully. To convince his subordinates, Tsubasa decided to demonstrate his strength directly. He challenged Kya, Jinga, and Benkai to a test fight. In a special training area, Tsubasa faced his three subordinates at once. A short but intense battle ensued. Kya with his agile photon, wind style, Jinga with his swift water style, and Benkai with his sturdy earth style, all attacked Tsubasa with all their might. They unleashed their best ninjutsu, trying at least to put up a meaningful resistance. However, the results were beyond expectations. Tsubasa moved like a shadow, easily evading all attacks. He countered them only with rapid and deadly taijutsu movements, incapacitating all three opponents one by one in a short time. Kya was sent sprawling to the ground by Tsubasa's lightning kick. Jinga was trapped in a whirlpool of his own ninjutsu. Benkai was rendered helpless by a devastating blow that hit his vitals. All three were utterly defeated, not even having time to unleash all their abilities. The brief battle opened the eyes of Tsubasa's three subordinates. They finally realized how far Tsubasa had progressed. They acknowledged the fact that the young lord they served had grown up and become an extraordinarily powerful ninja, far surpassing them. Tsubasa's strength was now on a different level. With heavy hearts but full of trust, Kya, Jinga, and Benkai accepted Tsubasa's decision. They understood that this was no longer about doubting their lord's strength, but about carrying out the roles that had been assigned to them as best as they could. We understand, Lord Tsubasa, Kya said respectfully. We will carry out our duties to the best of our ability. We will ensure not a single member of the Karasuma clan escapes from the valley. Jinga and Benkai nodded in agreement. We entrust everything to you, Lord. After bidding farewell to their wives and children, the three loyal subordinates were ready to accompany Tsubasa on this revenge mission. They knew that this was a dangerous journey, but they were not afraid. For Tsubasa, for their families, for the vengeance that had taken root in their souls, they were ready to do anything. Good luck, Tsubasa-sama, whispered Kya's wife, Hotaru, with teary eyes. Jinga's wife, Madoka, could only nod and hold her husband's hand tightly. Meanwhile, Benkai's always steadfast wife, Ayame, patted her husband's shoulder encouragingly. Tsubasa and his three subordinates departed for the Karasuma clan headquarters using venom as a fast and undetectable underground transport. As usual, Tsubasa concealed venom by knocking out his three subordinates with his signature purple sleeping gas. He did this out of caution, so that venom would not be seen by the public eye. The risk was too great if anyone realized his unique transport, especially since venom was too similar to the legendary Kirizutsu. They journeyed deep into the darkness of venom, heading towards the heart of Karasuma clan territory with burning resolve and unquenchable hatred. Tsubasa's revenge mission against the Karasuma clan had begun. Tsubasa's mind was filled with plans and strategies to conquer the Karasuma clan and avenge his family. He had studied the intricacies of the Karasuma clan headquarters, the strength of their ninjas, and the weaknesses of their defenses. All of this was to ensure the success of this revenge mission. He would not allow a single mistake to happen. However, behind it all, there was a small hope burning in his heart. The hope that after this vengeance was fulfilled, he could find peace and start a new life with everyone he cared about. Chapter 20, Fall of Karasuma. Venom ceased its movement and emerged onto the surface of the earth. The black chakra layer slowly melted away. Tsubasa exited first, followed by his three subordinates who were still lying unconscious. They were in a natural hollow among lush trees, a strategic hiding place on the outskirts of the Karasuma clan territory. Kya, Benkai, Jinga. Wake up, Tsubasa whispered, gently shaking the shoulders of each of his subordinates. Kya was the first to awaken. Tsubasa-sama. Have we arrived? He asked in a hoarse voice. Yes. Wake the others, Tsubasa replied briefly, his eyes already focused on observing the surroundings. Benkai, the large-bodied one, was the next to wake up, although still a bit dazed, followed by Jinga. After that, Tsubasa waited a moment, allowing them to fully awaken. Once he saw that his three subordinates were ready, Tsubasa said, "All right, listen to the plan one more time," he said, gathering the attention of his three subordinates. Benkai stretched his burly muscles. "Yes, Tsubasa-sama," he exclaimed enthusiastically, his hands already clenched with spirit, although his voice was still a whisper, for fear of alerting the Karasuma clan. Kya nodded calmly, his sharp eyes staring intently at Tsubasa. "Just tell us, Tsubasa-sama. We will follow your orders. Jinga also added briefly and clearly. Yes, Tsubasa-sama. We are ready. Tsubasa smiled faintly at their readiness. You three will remain outside the barrier. Your task is to ensure no intruders or reinforcements come from outside. If anyone tries to break in, incapacitate or kill them, understand? The three nodded in unison. Next, I will set up a barrier, then I will go in alone to face the Karasuma clan, Tsubasa continued, explaining the final part of his plan. Benkai frowned. Is Tsubasa really going in alone? Isn't that too dangerous? Or let one of us come with you to help? Tsubasa shook his head firmly. No. This is my fight. You have your own tasks. Trust me, I can handle them. Kia patted Benkai's shoulder. Calm down, Benkai. We must trust in Tsubasa-sama's abilities. Our task here is also important. Jinga nodded in agreement. Yes, Benkai. We must focus on our respective tasks. Benkai sighed heavily. Alright. But if Tsubasa-sama is in trouble, signal immediately. We will break in directly. Tsubasa smiled. Don't worry. That won't happen. The time showed midnight. The star-studded night sky and the gracefully hanging crescent moon silently witnessed their preparations. Silence enveloped the main headquarters of the Karasuma clan. Only the sound of the night wind rustling gently through the leaves, creating a calm atmosphere that still held tension. The Karasuma clan headquarters looked peaceful and asleep in the darkness. The torchlights on guard duty seemed minimal, a far cry from the defensive fortress that had once troubled Tsubasa. With his eyes closed, Tsubasa activated his perception ninjutsu. His sixth sense reached throughout the entire area of the Karasuma clan headquarters. He sensed faint chakra flows from the guards, their numbers far fewer than he had anticipated. They are truly unguarded, Tsubasa murmured inwardly, slightly surprised. Have they already forgotten my actions back then? After ensuring the area was safe and free from detection, Tsubasa turned to face his three subordinates. Are you ready? He whispered. Kia, Benkai, and Jinga nodded in unison. Good. Remember our plan. Don't be reckless. Stay alert, Tsubasa advised once more before finally stepping forward, leaving the hiding place. As Tsubasa approached the Karasuma clan headquarters, he increasingly felt the laxity of their security. In the past, years ago, after he revisited following his infiltration to rescue Azora, every corner felt watched, perception ninjas were everywhere, and the guards patrolled with high discipline. Now, deathly silent. Too silent. It seems that embarrassing incident has truly been forgotten, Tsubasa thought cynically. They think the incident back then won't happen again. The Karasuma clan seemed to have truly forgotten the infiltration and Azora's rescue incident. Perhaps because too much time had passed, or perhaps because they felt too strong and safe within their own territory. Whatever the reason, this laxity was a great advantage for Tsubasa. They have sown the seeds of their own destruction, Tsubasa whispered with a cold, faint smile. And I am here to harvest them. The Karasuma clan's lax security was not just an advantage, but also an open invitation to Tsubasa. They had underestimated the threat from outside, underestimated Tsubasa's abilities. Their arrogance would be their downfall. This will be much easier than I imagined, Tsubasa thought, planning his next move. They don't even know what storm is about to hit them. With firm and silent steps, Tsubasa moved deeper into the Karasuma clan territory. He stopped in a fairly spacious open area, right in front of the main gate of the headquarters. This was where the initial stage of his attack would begin. He rechecked his ninja equipment, ensuring everything was ready. Special breathing apparatus to protect himself from the paralysis gas was already attached to his face and those of his three subordinates. Pouches containing paralysis gas and chakra, as well as seal scrolls, were ready for use. Time to start the show, Tsubasa murmured in a low but confident tone. Tsubasa's hands moved quickly, forming a series of hand seals with high precision. Every finger movement, every hand fold, was executed perfectly, without the slightest flaw. The chakra within his body churned rapidly, like an overflowing river, ready to be channeled into the ground. Injetsukake, hidden moon barrier, Tsubasa whispered, mentioning the name of his creation formation ninjutsu. With a smooth motion, Tsubasa placed his right palm on the ground. At that moment, the tremendous chakra he had gathered flowed rapidly into the earth, activating the secret ninjutsu formation he had created. An invisible ripple of energy spread quickly from the center point where Tsubasa's hand touched the ground. The energy formation expanded, enveloping the entire area of the Karasuma clan headquarters in a matter of seconds. This protective formation was one of Tsubasa's masterpiece ninjutsu. A high-level barrier capable of withstanding attacks from Kage-level ninjas without budging in the slightest. Its specialty lay in its invisible nature, difficult to detect even by high-level sensor ninjas. Perfect, Tsubasa murmured in satisfaction, feeling the formation fully active. They will never realize it. Inside the headquarters, members of the Karasuma clan were completely unaware of what was happening. They felt no energy vibrations, saw no changes around them. The night still felt as calm and peaceful as previous nights. They did not know that their nest had been surrounded by an invisible barrier, ready to swallow them in chaos. After ensuring the barrier formation was perfectly active, Tsubasa took out his reliable weapon, body and chakra paralysis gas. He broke a glass tube the size of a mineral water bottle containing a dark purple liquid, releasing thick purple smoke that began to spread slowly but surely. The thick purple smoke moved slowly, following the direction of the cool night wind. It crept across the ground, seeping into every crack, every building in the Karasuma clan headquarters. Before long, the entire area began to fill with the deadly gas. This paralysis gas not only paralyzed the body, but also had a unique effect that inhibited chakra flow. Ninjas who inhaled it would have difficulty controlling their chakra, even to simply use basic ninjutsu. Tsubasa and his 3 subordinates had put on special breathing apparatus that they had prepared. The masks were equipped with filters capable of filtering out this gas, completely protecting them from the gas's deadly effects. Tsubasa waited patiently, giving time for the paralysis gas to spread evenly throughout the Karasuma clan headquarters area. He observed the movement of the gas through his perception ninjutsu, ensuring no area was missed. Once he was sure the gas had spread perfectly, Tsubasa signaled his 3 subordinates to remain on guard outside the barrier. He himself stepped forward, entering the area that had been surrounded by the formation, ready to face the Karasuma clan alone. "It's time to repay all past debts," Tsubasa murmured, stepping into the invisible barrier. Tsubasa entered the barrier cautiously, his perception fully active, scanning the situation inside the Karasuma clan headquarters. The air felt heavy and stuffy with paralysis gas, but the breathing apparatus protected him perfectly. The scene Tsubasa saw matched his predictions. Many Karasuma clan members lay helpless on the ground, paralyzed and unable to move. Some of them were still trying to crawl, but their bodies were clearly powerless. The paralysis gas worked effectively. Most of the Karasuma clan members were successfully paralyzed without causing direct casualties. This was in accordance with Tsubasa's plan, to conquer them, not slaughter them. Tsubasa immediately moved quickly, utilizing the Shadow Clone Jutsu, to speed up the conquest process. Dozens of Kage Bunshin appeared around him, each ready to carry out their task. Each Kage Bunshin began to perform a series of special hand seals, preparing a chakra sealing ninjutsu inspired by the Blood Prison technique in the Naruto Shippuden Movie 5, Blood Prison. This technique would seal the chakra of the paralyzed Karasuma clan members, ensuring they could not fight back or use ninjutsu at all. The Kage Bunshin moved systematically, from one Karasuma clan member to another. The sealing process went smoothly and without significant resistance. The Karasuma clan was truly powerless to face this sudden attack. The Karasuma clan, once known for being strong and respected, was now completely paralyzed. Tsubasa's attack was too sudden, too perfect, and too deadly. They were completely unprepared to face a situation like this. However, as Tsubasa focused on the process of sealing the Karasuma clan members, a sudden attack came from behind. Sit. A figure dressed in black appeared with lightning speed, launching a powerful and deadly taijutsu attack towards Tsubasa. The taijutsu attack was so fast and powerful, it could tear through the air around it. Punches and kicks were delivered in a deadly combination, targeting Tsubasa's vital points. Tsubasa's instincts reacted quickly. Thanks to his rigorous training with Madara and Hashirama, his reflexes were trained above average. He managed to evade the sudden attack with trained reflex movements. Thrack. The mysterious figure only hit empty air. Tsubasa observed the attacking figure carefully. A middle-aged man wearing a face mask that covered most of his face. It was the mask that seemed to protect him from the effects of the paralysis gas, allowing him to move freely amidst the deadly gas siege. However, as Tsubasa observed more closely, he realized something was strange about the masked figure's movements. Although fast and strong, his movements felt slightly stiff and not as agile as usual. He seemed to have a little difficulty controlling his chakra. This meant the masked figure had also inhaled some paralysis gas, although not as much as the other Karasuma clan members. His face mask may only provide partial protection, not completely immune to the deadly gas. Tsubasa recognized the aura and chakra of the masked figure. No mistake, he was the leader of the Karasuma clan, Karasuma Range. The main enemy he had to defeat. "So, you finally showed yourself, Karasuma Range," Tsubasa murmured coldly. Karasuma Range was a strong and experienced ninja. His reputation as the leader of the Karasuma clan was undeniable. However, the effects of the paralysis gas inhibiting his chakra prevented him from unleashing his full power. This was an advantage for Tsubasa. The battle between Tsubasa and Karasuma Range was inevitable. The two engaged in a fierce and rapid taijutsu battle. Punches, kicks, and elbows clashed at lightning speed. The sound of hard impacts echoed in the silence of the night. Tsubasa, with his superior agility and fighting techniques from his training with Madara and Hashirama, was able to keep up with Karasuma Renge's attacks. His movements were agile and unpredictable, each attack targeted and deadly. The paralysis gas worked even harder in Karasuma Renge's body. The longer he fought, the harder it became for him to control his chakra and movements. His speed and power began to decline, providing an opening for Tsubasa. Tsubasa saw a gap in Karasuma Renge's defense. A golden opportunity to end the resistance of this Karasuma clan leader. He would not waste it. With a quick and directed movement, Tsubasa unleashed his signature move, Rasengan. The blue chakra ball spinning violently hit Karasuma Renge's body squarely. The Rasengan struck Karasuma Renge's chest with tremendous force, sending him flying far away and crashing to the ground hard. Karasuma Renge lay prostrate and helpless, his breath ragged, his eyes radiating pain and defeat. Karasuma Renge was utterly defeated. He was unable to match Tsubasa's rapidly growing strength. Plus, the effects of the paralysis gas had paralyzed him completely, giving Tsubasa the opportunity to slam a Rasengan into his chest. After their leader was defeated, there was no more significant resistance from the Karasuma clan. All clan members had been paralyzed and their chakra sealed. The conquest of the Karasuma clan headquarters was successfully completed without significant resistance. Tsubasa's revenge mission against the Karasuma clan was perfectly accomplished. Without any casualties on either side. Tsubasa had proven his strength and avenged the humiliation of his past. "This is not over yet," Tsubasa murmured, gazing at the prostrate Karasuma clan members. "We still have one more task." Tsubasa ordered his Kage Bunshin to gather all the paralyzed Karasuma clan members. He would group the adult clan members and the children. For him, revenge did not mean slaughtering everyone indiscriminately. There were boundaries that must not be crossed. While Tsubasa was fiercely battling the Karasuma clan, a surprising but happy event occurred in the Valley Laboratory. Inside the cloning tube filled with nutrient fluid, the figure of Takagami Azora suddenly opened his eyes, as if just awakened from a long sleep. Azora's eyes, which were initially empty and listless, now radiated a light of new life. His soul and spirit seemed to be revived, although he looked confused by the situation he was facing. Azora blinked his eyes, looking around with a bewildered gaze. He did not understand why he was inside a tube, submerged in a strange liquid. However, behind the confusion, shone a spark of vibrant new life. Azora's awakening at this crucial moment may be a sign of the beginning of a new chapter in Tsubasa's and his valley's life. It could be a breath of fresh air, a new hope in their long journey full of challenges. Chapter 21, Boundaries of Compassion. With the fierce battle concluded, Tsubasa gathered all the captured Karasuma clan members in the expansive training grounds of their main headquarters. The area, once a place for Karasuma ninjas to hone their skills, was now transformed into a holding arena. The scene there was both distressing and slightly absurd. Dozens of human figures lay helpless, from children to the elderly, men and women, all incapacitated by the paralysis gas. Tsubasa utilized the shadow clone jutsu to ensure all Karasuma clan members were collected in one place. Dozens of his clones moved nimbly, directing and carrying the clan members who were still scattered in various corners of the headquarters. Some clones even had a little difficulty transporting a miniature, overweight Benkai. Wait, not Benkai, but a Karasuma clan member as large as Benkai. From afar, 3 figures could be seen running rapidly towards him in the signature Naruto ninja run style. They were Jinga, Kya, and Benkai, Tsubasa's loyal subordinates. Their unique running style, with arms behind their backs and bodies leaning forward, elicited a faint smile from Tsubasa. Especially Benkai, with his large frame, running in that style looked, well, somewhat comical. "Jinga, Kya, Benkai, over here," Tsubasa called out in a deep but calm voice. The tone ensured his words were clearly audible to his 3 subordinates, even though they were still quite far away. Tsubasa's aura of leadership radiated strongly, making anyone who heard him feel obedient and respectful. While waiting for his 3 subordinates to approach, Tsubasa issued orders to some of his shadow clones. "Clones, your task is to search for all valuables and treasures that the Karasuma clan might have hidden. Look for all types of ninjutsu, secret scrolls, and even material wealth such as money and gold. Don't miss a single one," Tsubasa continued, emphasizing the importance of this task. He wanted to ensure that no valuable assets of the Karasuma clan were overlooked and that they could be utilized to rebuild the Takagami clan. Tsubasa's shadow clones immediately dispersed, moving nimbly among the Karasuma clan buildings. They began carrying out the order to search for treasure, dismantling every nook and cranny that might be a secret storage place. Some clones even looked a little excited, imagining themselves finding stacks of glittering gold coins. To the remaining shadow clones, Tsubasa gave another order. "Other clones, You are responsible for guarding the remaining Karasuma clan members. Make sure they do not escape and remain safe and controlled. The shadow clones tasked with guarding the Karasuma clan prisoners nodded obediently and immediately formed a guard formation around the group of prisoners. They stood erect with emotionless expressions, ready to prevent any form of escape attempts or rebellion. Seeing the tight guard formation of the clones, Benkai whispered to Kia, "Wow, with this kind of setup, not even an ant could escape, right, Kia?" Kia only nodded slightly, amused by Benkai's remark. After ensuring all initial orders had been carried out, Tsubasa turned his attention to his three subordinates who had now arrived before him. Jinga, Kia, and Benkai stood erect, awaiting further instructions from Tsubasa. "Jinga, Kia, Benkai, follow me," Tsubasa said, turning and walking towards one of the Karasuma clan buildings that looked quite intact, although some parts of its walls appeared to have collapsed. The building looked like a meeting room or a small hall. "We need to discuss how to handle this Karasuma clan," he continued, explaining the purpose of his invitation while leading them towards the nearby building. He wanted to discuss with his three subordinates to decide the fate of the Karasuma clan after their victory. Important decisions had to be made soon. Tsubasa carefully checked around the building, ensuring there were no traps or hidden dangers before entering. Caution was his top priority, even after this decisive victory. He did not want to be careless and fall into any dirty tricks the Karasuma clan might still have up their sleeve. After feeling safe, Tsubasa entered the building, followed by Jinga, Kia, and Benkai who loyally followed behind him. They entered a room that was quite spacious but dimly lit. Moonlight entered through the cracks in the walls that had collapsed during his fight with Karasuma Range, but this light only managed to illuminate a small part of the room. Inside the quiet and dimly lit room, Tsubasa conveyed the decision he had carefully considered regarding the fate of the Karasuma clan. The atmosphere in the room became tense and full of anticipation. "I have decided not to kill all members of the Karasuma clan," Tsubasa said in a clear and firm tone, breaking the silence of the room. His words hung in the air, creating a moment of stillness. Jinga, Kia, and Benkai exchanged glances, slightly surprised by Tsubasa's decision which seemed unusual in the violent ninja world. They knew very well how cruel and corrupt the ninja world was, and Tsubasa's decision seemed to contradict the prevailing logic. Benkai even almost asked, "Tsubasa-sama, are you sure? They are our enemies after all," but he stopped himself, waiting for further explanation from Tsubasa. Tsubasa continued his explanation. "Among them, there are small children who still understand nothing. And there are also civilians who have no ninjutsu abilities. Their condition is almost like slaves to the Karasuma clan members who wield power." Tsubasa emphasized the humanitarian aspect of his decision. He did not want to equate himself with the cruel and inhumane Karasuma clan. "This decision is not because I am naive or weak-hearted. There are boundaries that I believe should not be crossed, even in this corrupt ninja world," Tsubasa asserted, dispelling the notion that his decision stemmed from weakness. He wanted to show that true strength is not only measured by the ability to kill, but also by the ability to restrain oneself and act wisely. "Killing children, even though it is considered common in the ninja world, is wrong in my opinion. I want to change this view," he continued, showing his idealism. Tsubasa wanted to be an agent of change in the ninja world full of darkness. He wanted to create a better world, even if it started with small steps. And to start that change, we must set an example. "We must show that we are different from them," Tsubasa said, pointing to the Karasuma clan as an example of the behavior he wanted to change. He wanted to show that the Takagami clan would be a different clan, a clan that upheld justice and humanity. Jinga, Kia, and Benkai listened intently to every word Tsubasa spoke, trying to understand the reasons behind their leader's decision. They stared at Tsubasa's face attentively, trying to read his thoughts and feelings. They knew that Tsubasa always had careful considerations and a far-sighted vision in every action he took. They believed that Tsubasa's decision this time was also based on deep thought and wise consideration. "Furthermore, we need labor to rebuild the Takagami clan and realize our next plans," Tsubasa added, touching on the pragmatic aspect of his decision. He was not only acting on idealism, but also considering the practical needs for the future of the Takagami clan. "We can utilize those who are harmless to help us, of course under strict supervision," Tsubasa concluded, explaining how he would utilize the remaining Karasuma clan members. He planned to use them as labor to rebuild the valley and realize his vision of an ideal ninja village. Tsubasa continued his explanation regarding the goals of their group after successfully avenging themselves on the Karasuma clan. He wanted to ensure his three subordinates understood his long-term vision. "Our next goal is to make this ninja world a little better. I won't save everyone, that's impossible. But we can start from our surroundings," Tsubasa said with a determined glint in his eyes. He wanted to create positive change, even if it started on a small scale. "To achieve that goal, I have begun to lay the foundations. I plan to build a ninja village, Tsubasa revealed, unveiling his grand plan to his 3 subordinates. This revelation made Ginga, Kya, and Benkai even more stunned. A ninja village different from many other. A village that prioritizes justice, prosperity, and collective progress. A village that serves as an example of change in the ninja world, Tsubasa explained, outlining his vision of an ideal ninja village. He wanted to create a place where ninjas could live peacefully and prosperously. Ginga, Kya, and Benkai were increasingly impressed by the vision Tsubasa revealed. They began to see a picture of a brighter and more meaningful future. Tsubasa's vision sparked enthusiasm and hope in their hearts. Tsubasa motivated his 3 subordinates. We must not get too caught up in feelings of revenge. Revenge is important, but it is not the end of everything. We must look to the future, because the future is what matters most. He wanted them to focus on the bigger picture, not just be fixated on the dark past. He also reminded himself. I too must continue to move forward, I must not get stuck in the dark past. The future of the Takagami clan is in our hands. Tsubasa realized that a great responsibility rested on his shoulders, and he had to be strong and steadfast to lead the Takagami clan towards a better future. However, that doesn't mean we will let the remaining Karasuma clan members go free. That would be a threat to our future, Tsubasa said, emphasizing that he was not forgetting the security aspect. Although he chose not to kill them all, he still had to ensure that they would not become a threat later on. Adult members and Karasuma clan leaders will be imprisoned or even used as my experimental subjects. Meanwhile, young members and servants, slaves, will have their memories erased and be placed in a special village that will remain under our supervision, Tsubasa explained regarding the plan for handling the Karasuma prisoners. He had considered various options and chose the best one for this situation. Tsubasa looked at his 3 subordinates hopefully. I hope you understand and support this decision. Together, we will realize our vision. He needed the full support of his 3 subordinates to realize his vision of an ideal ninja village and rebuild the Takagami clan. Ginga, Kya, and Benkai exchanged glances again. They saw the strong determination and unwavering confidence in Tsubasa's eyes. The dots that had briefly arisen in their minds slowly disappeared, replaced by an ever-growing sense of respect and trust in their leader. After a moment of silence, Ginga spoke up for the first time. We understand, Tsubasa-sama. We fully support your decision. Ginga's voice sounded firm and full of conviction. Kya and Benkai nodded in unison, agreeing with Ginga's words. We will always follow your orders, Tsubasa-sama, Kya said firmly, showing his unwavering loyalty. Your vision is truly noble, Tsubasa-sama. We will help you realize it. Benkai replied with burning enthusiasm. He felt proud to be part of Tsubasa's grand vision. Tsubasa nodded in satisfaction upon hearing the support from his 3 subordinates. He felt even more confident and motivated to continue his plan. Their support was an invaluable boost of energy for him. After the decision regarding the Karasuma clan was agreed upon, Tsubasa and his 3 subordinates left the building. They stepped out, returning to the training area where the Karasuma clan prisoners were gathered. Tsubasa intended to ask the shadow clones in charge about the results of the search for the Karasuma clan's treasure. He was curious if his clones had managed to find anything valuable. However, just as he was about to ask, Tsubasa sensed a strange change in the barrier formation he had set up around the headquarters area. The change felt subtle yet significant, enough to put Tsubasa on alert. His ninja instincts screamed, indicating that something was amiss. A feeling of unease enveloped Tsubasa's heart. The change in the barrier formation could not be taken lightly. Could there be another enemy trying to infiltrate? Or did the Karasuma clan have a hidden trump card? Before he could analyze the change further, suddenly a shadow clone appeared before him in a hurry. Poof! The smoke disappeared, revealing a clone that looked very panicked yet also excited. Tsubasa immediately recognized the shadow clone. It wasn't a clone he had created since attacking the Karasuma clan, but one of the shadow clones he had left in the Takagami Valley as a precaution in case of unexpected situations. Why had a clone from the valley suddenly appeared here? Tsubasa had always been cautious and prepared for all possibilities. Leaving a shadow clone in the valley was one form of his vigilance. He never knew when danger would come, and he had to always be ready to face it. Without the needing to wait for questions from Tsubasa, the shadow clone immediately conveyed the purpose of its arrival. Its face beamed, its eyes sparkling, as if it brought extraordinarily joyful news. In a hurried yet joyful tone, the shadow clone said, "Main body, Azorina has awakened." The words rushed out, carrying news that was both shocking and exhilarating. News that seemed to be a ray of light in the darkness that shrouded Tsubasa's heart. News about his brother Azora's recovery. Chapter 22, Memories and Lies. Hearing the good news from the shadow clone that Azora had regained consciousness, Tsubasa felt an overwhelming sense of relief. This news was like an oasis in the desert of sadness and worry he had been experiencing. The heavy burden that had weighed on his shoulders felt slightly lifted. Finally, a glimmer of hope shone again. Azora, you're finally wake up, Tsubasa whispered, a faint smile gracing his handsome face. Without delay, Tsubasa immediately expedited the evacuation process for everyone from the Karasuma clan's main headquarters. Time felt incredibly precious at this moment. He wanted to return to the valley as soon as possible and ensure Azora had fully recovered. Both the Karasuma clan prisoners, still dazed, and the valuables that had been collected by his shadow clones, all had to be moved immediately. Come on, hurry. Don't leave anything behind. Tsubasa ordered his clones who were busily moving. Tsubasa had no time to check the details of his shadow clone's findings. The most important thing right now was to get everyone away as quickly as possible. Treasure details could be examined later in the valley. Right now, returning faster was the priority, his mind solely focused on Azora. After ensuring everything was ready to be moved, Tsubasa used his sleeping gas technique again, just as he had done when bringing his 3 subordinates to the Karasuma clan headquarters. This gas was different from the body and chakra paralyzing gas used on the Karasuma clan. His target was everyone in the area, including his 3 loyal subordinates. Sorry, guys. A little discomfort again, Tsubasa muttered, preparing his gas. He knew this wasn't the best way to treat his men, but it was all for safety. The sleeping gas spread quickly, putting everyone around the Karasuma headquarters to sleep in the blink of an eye. Even small insects that curiously approached fell asleep as well. Tsubasa chuckled softly at the scene. This sleeping gas is really too potent, he thought. To secure the entire entourage and luggage during the journey, Tsubasa summoned venom. A part of venom that enveloped him like a cloak outside his body separated and then transformed into a giant Alaskan bullworm, exactly like in the SpongeBob cartoon. Of course, this venom version was much more sinister and not funny at all. In fact, it tended to traumatize people if they saw it suddenly emerge from the ground. The giant venom worm opened its mouth wide, ready to swallow all the prisoners, valuables, as well as Tsubasa's subordinates and himself. This scene might look terrifying to outsiders, like a scene from a B-movie horror film, but for Tsubasa, this was the safest and most efficient evacuation method. Come on in, everyone. Don't be shy. Tsubasa quipped jokingly, though no one heard him because they were already asleep. After ensuring everything was safely swallowed inside the venom worm's body, Tsubasa gave the order to move. The giant venom worm began to move, diving into the earth and disappearing beneath the surface, beginning its underground journey towards Takagami Valley. The barrier formation that had been set up around the Karasuma clan remained active during his departure. The formation remained functional thanks to a battery-like chakra core embedded within it. Tsubasa used the principles of sealing ninjutsu to create this function. After some time traveling underground, the venom worm finally arrived at Takagami Valley. This long journey was finally over. Tsubasa felt relieved and grateful that they had arrived safely. Finally arrived. My beloved valley, he murmured, letting out a long sigh. Before meeting Azora, Tsubasa prioritized handling the Karasuma clan prisoners first. The security of Takagami Valley was his top priority. He did not want to bring potential problems into the valley before everything was under control. He directed the venom worm towards the underground prison he had built several years ago. He had deliberately prepared the prison as a precaution for emergency situations like this. Back then, when building this prison, Benkai had asked with a confused face, Tsubasa-sama, why are we building such a large prison? Are we going to capture a lot of criminals? Tsubasa only smiled mysteriously and replied, we never know what will happen in the future, Benkai. It's better to be prepared for all possibilities. And as it turned out, that preparation was now very useful. One by one, the Karasuma clan prisoners were removed from the venom worm and put into the underground prison cells. They were still unconscious due to the effects of the sleeping gas. Tsubasa's shadow clones nimbly carried them and placed them in their respective cells. Some prisoners even snored softly in their sleep, as if they didn't care about the misfortune that had befallen them. After ensuring all the prisoners were safely in prison, Tsubasa remembered that his 3 subordinates were also still unconscious since arriving at the valley. He felt a little guilty for forgetting about them because he was too focused on the Karasuma prisoners. Oh dear, forgive me, guys. You must be uncomfortable in there, Tsubasa lamented. He immediately took Jinga, Kya, and Benkai out of the giant venom worm and woke them up. The 3 of them looked dazed and confused when they opened their eyes. Benkai even muttered in his sleep, worm. Giant. Is it tasty? While Kya and Jinga just calmly rubbed their eyes, trying to understand the situation. Sorry for having to put you to sleep on every trip, Tsubasa said to his 3 subordinates who were still trying to fully awaken. He felt the need to apologize for making them uncomfortable during the evacuation trip. After ensuring the 3 were truly awake, Tsubasa gave an order. You 3, go see your families immediately. If you are interested, You may bring your families to the laboratory to meet Azora who has regained consciousness. Tsubasa smiled broadly, imagining how happy Azora would be to be visited by many people. Tsubasa gave special permission to his subordinates to bring their families. He realized that Azora's awakening moment might also be the most awaited moment by their families. They must all have missed Azora and wanted to see him recover. Moreover, Kyu's, Jinga's, and Benkai's children, who were still small and cute, would surely make Azora even happier after waking up. Without waiting for an answer, Tsubasa immediately rushed towards the laboratory, his heart filled with longing and hope to meet his brother soon. He couldn't wait to see Azora with his own eyes. His footsteps were light and quick, as if impatient to arrive immediately. Tsubasa arrived at the laboratory. The all-white building looked calm and quiet, but held great hope within. Behind those white walls, Azora was waiting for him. "I'm coming, brother," Tsubasa whispered, his hand reaching for the laboratory door handle. In one of the rooms, a Tsubasa shadow clone was speaking in a calm and gentle tone, trying to explain the situation to Azora, who looked shocked and whose eyes were beginning to water. The clone explained slowly and carefully about what had happened while Azora was unconscious. "So, that's the story, Nissan. You have been asleep for quite a while," the clone said, ending his explanation calmly. At that moment, the door to the room opened. The real Tsubasa appeared in the doorway, interrupting the shadow clone's conversation with Azora. He paused briefly at the door, giving Azora time to register his presence. Azora and the Tsubasa shadow clone simultaneously turned towards the door, seeing the real Tsubasa standing there with a warm smile blooming on his lips. The smile was one of relief, happiness, and deep longing. "Azora," Tsubasa called out softly, his eyes glistening with tears as he gazed at his brother. Seeing that his main body had arrived, the Tsubasa shadow clone said to his original body, "Main body, I leave the rest to you. I'm going back to my research is at a critical stage." The clone looked a little restless and in a hurry to get back to work. "Alright, good luck." Tsubasa wished before the clone actually left. The clone only nodded briefly without looking back, already impatient to continue his experiments. Without waiting for a reply, the shadow clone left the room, closing the door, and returned to focus on his postponed research. He seemed very eager to quickly finish that important research. Perhaps he was trying to create the most delicious instant ramen recipe in the world, who knows. After his shadow clone left, Tsubasa approached Azora with a happy smile. "Welcome back, Azora," Tsubasa greeted sincerely from the bottom of his heart. The words were spoken softly, full of brotherly affection. He extended his hand, ready to welcome Azora back to the real world. Azora remained silent for a moment, still trying to process all the information he had just received. Then, in a weak and hesitant voice, he asked, "Okay, but is everything your clone said true? Our Takagami clan is destroyed, and only the two of us are left?" The question was uttered in a bitter tone, full of pain and disbelief. His eyes looked at Tsubasa hopefully, as if still searching for a glimmer of hope that all of this was just a nightmare. Azora's question pierced Tsubasa's heart. He knew that he had to tell the truth, even though it would be very painful for Azora. He couldn't keep lying or hiding this bitter reality. Tsubasa nodded slowly, acknowledging the truth of the bad news. "Yes, Azora, the news is true," Tsubasa replied in a sad tone. He tried to compose himself so as not to be overcome by emotion while delivering this mournful news. "But, we are not alone. We still have a new family now," Tsubasa continued, trying to offer a little comfort. He began to explain in detail how the Karasuma clan destroyed the Takagami clan. "The Karasuma clan deceived us with a false engagement offer, weakened our defenses, and then attacked our territory," Tsubasa explained in a trembling voice. He recounted the tragic events as calmly as possible, but his emotion was still evident. They slaughtered everyone. Our parents, too." Tsubasa's voice caught in his throat, tears beginning to well up in his eyes. The situation was very critical at that time. "Only the two of us and 6 of our subordinate clan members survived," Tsubasa continued, mentioning the names Jinga, Kyo, Benkai, Ayam, Hotaru, and Madoka. He wanted Azora to know that they were not completely alone, that there were still some loyal subordinate clan members who had survived. Tsubasa then recounted the white lie he had prepared for Azora. Unfortunately, Azora fell into a prolonged coma due to an attack by a member of the Karasuma clan, Tsubasa said, concealing the horrific facts about the torture Azora had endured while imprisoned by the Karasuma clan. He also hid another terrible fact, that Azora had witnessed their parents' deaths right before his eyes at that time, which had led to Azora becoming despondent. He deliberately twisted the facts to protect Azora from deeper trauma. This lie was Tsubasa's attempt to protect Azora from further trauma. He hoped this lie would give Azora a chance to recover and rebuild his will to live. Tsubasa hoped Azora wouldn't need to know the bitter truth, at least for now. He wanted Azora to focus on recovery and healing his wounds. I deliberately kept secret the details of your torture and our parents' deaths. I was afraid it would worsen your mental condition, Tsubasa said inwardly. He was deeply worried about Azora's psychological state and did not want to add to his suffering. If one day Azora-ni wants to know the real truth, I will definitely tell him. But for now, let Azora-ni focus on recovering and building good memories first, Tsubasa thought to himself. He hoped Azora could forget the dark past and look to the future with new hope. After delivering the bad news, Tsubasa transitioned to the good news that had occurred while Azora was unconscious. He wanted to cheer up Azora, who was surely grieving. During this time, our 6 subordinates got married, and each couple was blessed with a child, Tsubasa said with a proud smile. He wanted to show that even though the Takagami clan had been destroyed, life went on, and hope remained. And most importantly, I succeeded in avenging the Karasuma clan for everything they did to our Takagami clan, Tsubasa concluded, delivering the long-awaited news of victory. He hoped this news could bring some relief to Azora. Azora listened intently to every explanation Tsubasa gave. His face showed a mixture of shock, sadness, and disbelief. He seemed to have difficulty processing all the information flooding his mind. He tried to digest all the information flooding his mind. News about the clan's destruction, the fact that he had been in a coma for so long, the good news about subordinates and revenge, it all felt too heavy to take in at once. His mind felt full and chaotic. So, all of this is real? Azora asked softly, his voice barely audible. Silence filled the laboratory room. Azora seemed lost in thought, trying to understand the new reality he had to face. The atmosphere in the room became quiet and tense, only the sound of their breathing could be heard. Tsubasa allowed Azora to digest the information, giving him time and space to adapt to the situation. As the two fell silent, suddenly a knock was heard from outside the laboratory door. Knock. 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 The sound of knocking broke the silence and interrupted their conversation. Chapter 23, Firelight and Feasts. Tsubasa opened the laboratory door, and a warm scene immediately greeted him outside. His 6 subordinates and their children had gathered there. The atmosphere outside the door felt much brighter and more lively compared to the silence of the laboratory. There stood Toriyama Kiya and his wife, Toriyama Hotaru, with their son, Toriyama Kotaru, who was moving actively here and there. Then there were Ushidate Benkai and Ushidate Ion with their son, Ushidate Seiya, who looked as sturdy as his father. Lastly, Samejima Jinga and Samejima Madoka were there with their daughter, Samejima Yumi, who appeared shy yet curious. The small families looked happy and harmonious, a scene that was very soothing to Tsubasa's heart. Tsubasa greeted them with a friendly smile and immediately welcomed them into the laboratory. You've all come, everyone. Please, come in, Tsubasa said in a warm tone. The atmosphere in the laboratory room, which had been tense and quiet, instantly felt more lively and bright with their presence. After everyone had gathered inside, Tsubasa began the introduction process. He wanted to introduce them all to Azora, his older brother who had just regained consciousness. Tsubasa started by introducing the 6 adults first. Azora-ni, allow me to introduce you. These are Kiya, Hotaru, Benkai, Iam, Jinga, and Madoka. They are my loyal subordinates, and perhaps Azora-ni still remembers them a little, said Tsubasa, pointing to each of his subordinates one by one. Azora tried to remember, and although his memory was still hazy, he tried to smile kindly at them. Azora's smile was returned with respect and joy by Tsubasa's 6 subordinates. They all felt relieved and happy to see Azora conscious again and seemingly well. Benkai almost jumped for joy and hugged Azora, but Iam quickly pulled her husband's arm, giving him a warning look that was enough to make Benkai give up his intention. Then, Tsubasa moved on to introduce the 3 small children who looked curious about Azora. He hoped that the presence of these children could melt away the sadness that might still be lingering in his older brother's heart. Children are bringers of happiness, and Tsubasa knew very well the positive effect of their presence. Kotaru, Seiya, Yumi, come closer. Let me introduce you, this is my older brother, Takagami Azora, Tsubasa said to the 3 7-year-old children. His tone of voice was gentle and affectionate, making the children feel comfortable approaching. Without any shyness, the 3 children approached and greeted Azora cheerfully. Azora-sama, nice to meet you, my name is Kotaru. Kotaru exclaimed enthusiastically. My name is Seiya. Seiya replied, no less enthusiastic. My name is Yumi. Yumi answered in her cute voice. The 3 of them looked very excited and cheerful in welcoming Azora. Azora, seeing the funny behavior of the 3 little children, instantly stopped the sadness on his face. A sincere smile bloomed on his lips as he introduced himself. Hello, little kids. My name is Takagami Azora. Just call me Azora, no need for Sama, Azora said in a cheerful tone. He felt happy and comforted by the presence of these little children. The atmosphere in the laboratory room instantly changed to warm and friendly. Everyone started chatting happily, eliminating the tension that had been there. The laughter of the little children sounded cheerful, breaking the silence of the laboratory. Azora quickly became close to the three little children. He began to tell stories about his childhood achievements in a funny and entertaining speaking style. The little children listened with enthusiasm, laughing heartily at Azora's tickling stories. Kia and Jinga exchanged glances and smiled faintly. "Look at Azora-sama, he really knows how to liven up the atmosphere like before," Kia whispered. Jinga nodded in agreement. "That's right, he really has a talent for making friends." Tsubasa watched Azora's interaction with the children with relief. He knew that Azora's original character was indeed similar to characters like Naruto, Hashirama, or Jiraiya. Azora had a positive aura that was able to bring cheer to those around him. Azora had a heart full of kindness, but if he had to be compared to famous figures, Azora's similarity leaned more towards Yondaime Hokage. Minato no Mikage. His calmness and intelligence reminded Tsubasa of the legendary fourth Hokage. Azora could easily get along with children, but at the same time he was also a genius and calm figure. This balance of character is what made Azora so special. He had a natural leadership charisma that made others feel comfortable and trust him. In Tsubasa's memory, Azora was indeed very talented in chakra control. His talent far exceeded his own before reincarnation, although the current Tsubasa had much greater potential. Azora's talent was a natural gift rarely possessed by other ninjas. Azora's talent was one of the reasons why the elders of the Takagami clan wanted to betroth Tsubasa to the daughter of the Karasuma clan, while Azora would remain and continue the clan leadership. They saw great potential in Azora to lead the Takagami clan to glory. Initially, their parents did not agree with the betrothal, but the clan elders had a different opinion, which ultimately led to the betrayal of the Karasuma clan. The betrothal, which was initially hoped to bring peace, instead became the beginning of the Takagami clan's destruction. Seeing the atmosphere improving, Tsubasa felt that this was the right time to celebrate Azora's awakening and their successful revenge. This happiness should be celebrated together. "It seems today is a good day to celebrate all of this," Tsubasa said to everyone present in the room, proposing the idea of holding a big celebration. Tsubasa's proposal to hold a celebration was enthusiastically welcomed by everyone in the room. Everyone agreed that this celebration was a form of gratitude for Azora's awakening and their successful revenge. It was also a moment to strengthen the bonds of brotherhood and solidarity between the Takagami clan and their subordinate clans. Without waiting long, party preparations immediately began. They quickly left the laboratory building, heading to an open field in the middle of the valley. Everyone moved quickly and helped each other with enthusiasm. Tsubasa's male subordinates, Jinga, Kia, and Benkai, began preparing food supplies. They started slaughtering chickens and goats for the party dishes. Benkai enthusiastically lifted a large goat by himself, making the little children giggle. Meanwhile, Tsubasa himself joined the three young mothers, Hotaru, Ayame, and Madoka, in the kitchen. He took over the cooking duties, because Tsubasa's cooking had indeed been recognized for its deliciousness by his subordinates. Hotaru, Ayame, and Madoka happily helped Tsubasa prepare spices and other cooking ingredients. Azora, who had just woken up from his coma, initially wanted to help, but Tsubasa forbade him. "Azora, just rest. Don't push yourself too hard first. Azora just woke up," Tsubasa said with care. He didn't want his older brother to get tired and slow down his recovery process. Finally, Azora gave in and chose to accompany the three little children playing. He happily entertained the chatter and funny antics of Kotaru, Seiya, and Yumi. The children really liked Azora and kept crowding around him, asking Azora to tell them more stories. Some time later, party preparations were almost complete. The aroma of delicious cooking began to fill the air of Takagami Valley. Everyone's stomachs began to rumble, impatient to immediately enjoy the party dishes. A large bonfire had been lit in the middle of the valley, creating a warm and festive atmosphere. Delicious foods had been neatly arranged, ready to be eaten. The party atmosphere felt increasingly lively and joyful. The celebration party began. The party atmosphere was very lively, filled with the cheerful laughter of children, the warm conversations of adults, and happy smiles on everyone's faces. Music and singing added to the festive atmosphere. Benkai was even seen dancing funnily while carrying a plate of grilled meat, making everyone burst into laughter. The togetherness and solidarity of the Takagami clan and their subordinate clans were clearly reflected in this celebration party. They all gathered to celebrate their victory and the resurgence of their clan. This celebration was a symbol of their unity and strength. When everyone was almost finished eating and the party atmosphere became more relaxed, Tsubasa felt that this was the right time to convey an important decision that he had thought about carefully. He wanted to share his vision for the future with everyone. Tsubasa stood up from his seat, attracting the attention of everyone present. The noisy voices stopped instantly, anticipating what their leader was about to say. Tsubasa's loud voice broke the momentary silence. "Friends," Tsubasa said in a firm voice, "perhaps now is the right time. After Azora regained consciousness, and we also successfully avenged the Karasuma clan." Tsubasa paused his sentence for a moment, making everyone even more curious. Tsubasa continued, "I want us all to move to the new ninja village valley that I have planned. The construction there is also almost complete, all thanks to the help of the Kongo clan who built it for us." This announcement surprised and aroused everyone's curiosity. He explained the reasons behind his decision. "This village will be a new beginning for us. A place where we can rebuild the Takagami clan with a stronger foundation and a clearer vision." Tsubasa emphasized that this new ninja village was their hope for a better future. Tsubasa looked at his subordinates and their family members one by one, seeking opinions and support for his decision. "What do you think? Do you agree with my decision?" Tsubasa asked in a hopeful tone. He really hoped for support from his closest people. A moment of silence enveloped the party. Everyone seemed to be thinking and considering Tsubasa's proposal. The joyful atmosphere that had filled the valley suddenly subsided, replaced by a silence full of consideration. Even the little children who had been noisy also fell silent, feeling the serious atmosphere that suddenly arose. Azora, who was sitting near Tsubasa, looked at his younger brother in confusion. He did not know what Tsubasa meant by ninja village. He was also confused about who this Kongo clan was, so he asked, "What do you mean by this ninja village and who is the Kongo clan, Tsubasa?" Azora asked confusedly. Seeing his older brother's confusion, Tsubasa then explained his ninja village plan, and the process of his meeting with the Kongo clan at that time. He recounted in detail how he met and saved the Kongo clan who were in crisis, how they agreed to become his subordinates, and how the Kongo clan had helped build a new ninja village for them. After listening to Tsubasa's story and his ninja village plan, Azora was silent for a moment, trying to digest all this information. He looked surprised but also impressed by his younger brother's vision. Tsubasa's subordinates exchanged glances. They saw sincerity and conviction in their leader's eyes. They knew that Tsubasa never joked around with his words. Tsubasa's decisions were always based on careful thought and for the good of everyone. Jinga was the first to respond. "Tsubasa-sama," Jinga said in a loud voice, "we fully support your decision." Jinga's firm voice broke the silence and gave new spirit to the others. Kia and Benkai nodded in unison, agreeing with Jinga's words. "Yes, Tsubasa-sama. We believe in your vision," Kia replied in a firm tone. "A new ninja village, it sounds very interesting." Benkai exclaimed enthusiastically, again showing his burning spirit. Ayame and Madoka also joined in expressing their support. "We agree with Tsubasa-sama's decision," Ayame said with a gentle smile. "Whatever Tsubasa-sama decides, we will always support it," Madoka added in a loyal tone. Even Azora gave his full support to Tsubasa. "I also agree, Tsubasa. A new ninja village, a great idea. I'm sure we can build a better future there," Azora said in an enthusiastic voice. He began to see new hope in his younger brother's plan. Hearing the full support from everyone, Tsubasa felt extraordinary relief and happiness. He smiled broadly, showing his gratitude. The burden of doubt that had haunted him was now completely gone. "Thank you everyone. I'm glad you all agree," Tsubasa said sincerely. He was very touched by the trust and support given by his family and his subordinates. "In that case, we will start preparing our move to the new ninja village as soon as possible," Tsubasa continued, announcing the next step. He wanted to immediately begin a new chapter of their lives in a new place. The party atmosphere returned to being cheerful and full of hope. Tsubasa's announcement about the new ninja village had given new spirit to everyone. They all imagined a bright future in that new ninja village. They all imagined a bright future in the new ninja village, a place where they would rebuild the Takagami clan and realized Tsubasa's vision. That village would be a symbol of their resurgence and hope. That night, under the starry sky of Takagami Valley, the Takagami clan celebrated victory, resurgence, and hope for the future with joy and optimism. A new chapter in their lives had just begun. Chapter 24, The Hidden Power. Once the consensus was reached, Tsubasa, with a determined glint in his eyes, spoke again. "All right, it's decided then. We will move to the new valley." His voice was firm, yet calm, reflecting the leadership respected by all. "Okay, now the most important thing is when we will depart," Tsubasa continued, initiating the next stage of discussion. "Any suggestions?" Kia immediately raised his hand enthusiastically. "How about tomorrow morning, Tsubasa-sama? The sooner the better, right?" Tsubasa smiled at Kia's hasty proposal. "Tomorrow morning seems too soon, Kia. We need time to prepare everything." Benkai nodded in agreement. "Tsubasa-sama is right. I still have to unpack all my precious agate stone collections. That takes time." All eyes in the room immediately turned to Benkai, gazing at him with strange looks. Benkai just grinned sheepishly, feeling slightly embarrassed that his secret collection had been exposed. Jinga, who had been silent from the start, finally voiced his opinion. How about 1 week from now? That time is sufficient for preparation, and not too long either. Tsubasa nodded in agreement with Jinga's suggestion. 1 week. I think that's the ideal time. What do you all think? All the adults present in the room nodded in agreement, while the 3 small children could only watch the adults around them with keen interest. All right, we agree to depart in 1 week, Tsubasa concluded. Besides preparing personal belongings, I also want to do something important before we move to the new valley. Tsubasa added, his words holding a mystery that made his subordinates curious. The next day, after the village relocation celebration party ended late into the night, Tsubasa woke up earlier than usual. The lively party last night had indeed drained some energy, but his determination for morning exercise could not be swayed. He put on his comfortable sportswear, then went out of the house to start his morning routine, running around Takagami Valley. Morning jogging had become Tsubasa's habit since he transmigrated into this world. Initially, he only wanted to maintain physical fitness. The body he obtained after soul shifting must not be as weak as his body in his previous life, because he was a ninja. However, over time, he realized that this activity also helped him clear his mind and calm his soul. Takagami Valley in the morning always presented beautiful scenery and fresh air, a perfect combination to start the day with enthusiasm. Upon returning home after finishing his jog, Tsubasa saw Azora, his older brother, already awake and doing light stretches in their front yard. A faint smile was etched on Azora's lips, his eyes radiating a brighter light than the day before. Where have you been, Tsubasa? Azora asked, his tone sounding more spirited than usual. Just jogging around the valley, Nissan, Tsubasa replied while catching his breath. Then, he continued with a question he had long wanted to ask. Can we talk for a moment, Nissan? Of course, what is it? Azora replied with a curious tone. He invited Tsubasa to sit with him on a wooden chair on the porch. The morning sun began to warm the atmosphere, but a cool breeze still blew gently, creating a comfortable atmosphere for a serious conversation. After they were both seated comfortably, Tsubasa began the conversation with a question that went straight to the heart of the matter. Azora, do you still want to be a ninja? After everything that has happened? This question had been lingering in Tsubasa's mind for a long time. He wanted to make sure if his older brother still wanted to be a ninja after finding out that almost everyone he cared about had disappeared since he woke up from his coma. Hearing Tsubasa's question, Azora fell silent for a moment. His face looked gloomy again, painful memories of the past haunting him once more. He seemed to ponder his younger brother's question seriously. A moment of silence enveloped them. The morning breeze blew gently, carrying the fresh scent of leaves and morning dew. The melodious sound of birds chirping could be heard in the distance, adding to the peacefulness of that morning. Moments later, Azora lifted his head. The look in his eyes again showed sharpness and burning determination. I will still be a ninja, Tsubasa, Azora replied firmly, his voice full of conviction. Tsubasa nodded slowly, respecting his older brother's decision. He knew very well that being a ninja was not an easy path, full of danger and sacrifice. However, he also knew that Azora had the heart of a true ninja. Is that so, Azora? You won't regret it? You could be a businessman or anything else you want. Tsubasa still tried to make sure his older brother was truly certain of his decision. Tsubasa continued, in the ninja village I will create later, there will not only be ninja professions, but also other professions. You are free to choose. He wanted his older brother to know that there were many other options out there, and he did not want Azora to feel forced to remain a ninja if his heart did not truly desire it. Azora smiled faintly upon hearing his younger brother's offer. I understand your good intentions, Tsubasa. But my heart is still called to be a ninja, Azora said in a firm yet gentle voice. His resolve was firm, there was not a single doubt in his heart. All right then, Tsubasa replied with a relieved smile. He was glad his older brother had rediscovered his spirit. If you still want to be a ninja, come with me to the training grounds later. Tsubasa offered to train Azora, helping him restore his ninja abilities that had dimmed. I will teach you a ninjutsu that I created, it's called Rasengan. Besides that, I will also give you some exercises to accustom your stiff body after being asleep for so long. Tsubasa continued to invite Azora to train together. Azora chuckled upon hearing his younger brother's joke. I understand, Tsubasa, Azora replied enthusiastically. His spirit to train rekindled, he could not wait to hone his ninja abilities that had been dormant. After their conversation was over, Tsubasa hurried to take a morning shower to cleanse himself of sweat after jogging. He prepared to start a productive day by training Azora. He had already compiled an intensive training plan for his older brother, with the target of Azora being able to return to his best performance before they moved to the new village. Some time later, in the training grounds located in Takagami Valley, Under the scorching morning sun that began to sting, two figures of brothers were seen training seriously. Azora's 3 shadow clones, the result of the jutsu he had just learned this morning, each held a water balloon. Azora was trying out the initial training method of Rasengan. The water balloon spun in the air, waiting to be burst by Azora's chakra power. Tsubasa decided to teach Azora Rasengan, a high-level ninjutsu that required excellent chakra control. He believed that Azora had the potential to master this jutsu. Azora's natural talent in controlling chakra was indeed extraordinary. Even from childhood he had shown outstanding talent compared to children his age. Azora had just started practicing Rasengan after Tsubasa taught him Shadow Clone Jutsu in the morning. Tsubasa wanted Azora to master the ninjutsu that was very helpful in this training before officially learning Rasengan. Shadow Clone would help Azora speed up the training process, because he could train 3 times more efficiently with the help of his 3 shadow clones. Fortunately, as Tsubasa had predicted, Azora was indeed a genius in chakra control. He quickly understood the concept and technique of Shadow Clone. In less than half a day, Azora managed to master the Shadow Clone Jutsu. This remarkable progress further motivated Tsubasa to train Azora even harder. After Shadow Clone, Tsubasa immediately taught Azora the basic Rasengan training, starting with bursting water balloons only with chakra spun in his palm. This process did look simple, but it required very high concentration and chakra control. Azora seemed to have difficulty at first. The water balloons only spun in his palm without bursting. However, Azora did not give up. He kept trying and trying, following Tsubasa's directions carefully. He focused all his attention and chakra in his palm, trying to spin and condense the chakra until it had enough explosive power to burst the water balloon. Judging from Azora's rapid progress currently, Tsubasa was optimistic that his older brother would be able to master Rasengan before the day ended. Azora's talent was indeed extraordinary, even exceeding his expectations. He could not wait to see his older brother unleash his full potential. Time continued to pass, and as the sun was almost completely setting, Azora finally managed to create a blue chakra ball in his right hand. Rasengan. The chakra ball spun rapidly, radiating strong and stable energy. Azora's face shone with joy. All his hard work and focus throughout the day paid off. With a sparkling face, Azora directed the blue chakra ball at a large tree in front of him as a test target. He took a stance, then jumped forward with full force. Rasengan. Azora shouted loudly and enthusiastically, pouring out all his hard work and focus throughout the day. The blue chakra ball hit the tree with a loud explosion, creating a large hole in its trunk and causing the tree to fall with a deafening rumbling sound. Dust and wood splinters flew through the air, indicating the tremendous power of Azora's first Rasengan. Tsubasa, who witnessed Azora's success, immediately approached his older brother with a proud smile. "Congratulations, Nisan, you managed to master Rasengan," Tsubasa said, patting Azora's shoulder. He was very proud of his older brother's achievement, who had mastered a high-level ninjutsu in less than a day. "Today's training is finished. We'll continue tomorrow, let's go home now," Tsubasa said, ending their first day of intensive training. They both walked home together, tired but satisfied. Smiles continued to adorn their faces, proving that hard work never betrays results. The next day, Tsubasa trained Azora again. This time, the theme of their training was taijutsu, the ninja art of hand-to-hand combat. Although Azora was a genius in ninjutsu, Tsubasa realized that his older brother's taijutsu experience was still very minimal. The memories that his older brother retained only lasted until the age of 12, and their clan was not a large clan that was often involved in battles. Azora's taijutsu level was probably equivalent to a genin who had just graduated from Ninja Academy, maybe even slightly below that. Very different from Tsubasa's taijutsu level, which was already very high thanks to his experience fighting on the battlefield against powerful ninjas like Hashirama and Madara. Tsubasa knew that to become a good ninja, Azora not only had to be strong in ninjutsu, but also had to master taijutsu well. When the two began their taijutsu duel, Tsubasa easily dominated the fight. He moved agilely and attacked with accurate punches and kicks, overwhelming Azora. Azora tried his best to keep up with Tsubasa's speed and strength, but the difference in their levels was too far apart. Tsubasa did not immediately end their fight. He had another purpose in this taijutsu duel, which was to awaken the hidden power in Azora's body. He had long sensed the great potential hidden within his older brother, but that potential had never been fully awakened. Tsubasa deliberately applied constant pressure in taijutsu, but kept the intensity of his attacks from being too strong so that Azora would quickly give up. He wanted to push Azora to his limits, forcing his older brother's body and instincts to react and develop. He continued to increase the tempo of the fight, moving faster and more aggressively, trying to elicit a reaction from Azora's body. Tsubasa's punches were launched with high speed and accuracy. Azora began to pant, his breath short, as if he was almost out of energy. Azora was hit by Tsubasa's punches many times, but he did not give up. His fighting spirit burned. He continued to try to survive and find gaps to counterattack. He knew that this was an opportunity for him to grow, to become stronger. In a very focused state, amidst the pressure of Tsubasa's attacks, Azora suddenly felt something strange happening to him. His body felt lighter, his mind became clearer, and his senses of sight sharpened dramatically. In that brief moment, as Azora tried to avoid Tsubasa's punch, he saw his younger brother's movements as if slowing down in his eyes. His perception of time and space seemed to change. He could see the trajectory of Tsubasa's punches more clearly, and his reactions became faster than before. Azora with increased reflexes managed to evade Tsubasa's punch and even planned to launch a counterattack. This was the first time in this duel he had managed to evade Tsubasa's attack and had a chance to strike back. However, Tsubasa remained vigilant. He quickly evaded Azora's punch and instead launched a hard kick towards his older brother's stomach, causing Azora to be pushed back several steps. Azora's counterattack was still too weak and predictable. Tsubasa was still far superior in this fight. In that brief moment, Tsubasa finally witnessed the awakening of Azora's hidden power. As Azora evaded his punch, for a moment, his older brother's blue eyes changed color to golden orange gold. A mysterious new dujutsu, never before seen in the history of the ninja world. Azora's dormant power was finally awakened, opening a new chapter in his ninja journey. Their fight that day was no longer just mere training, but became the starting point of Azora's evolution as an extraordinary ninja. Chapter 25, Dujutsu Awakening. Dust swirled around the training ground as Tsubasa called off their taijutsu duel. Azora lay sprawled on the ground, panting like a fish stranded on land. Sweat drenched his body, his training clothes clinging limply to his skin. It was clear, Azora had reached his limit. Tsubasa promptly ended the training. He picked up 2 water bottles they had brought from home and offered one to his brother. "Here, Nisan, drink this first." Azora accepted the water bottle with trembling hands. He gulped it down greedily, trying to moisten his throat that felt as dry as a desert. After a few gulps, he was finally able to speak, although his voice still sounded weak and slightly frustrated. "Tsubasa, you're so strong. I can't even touch you," Azora lamented, acknowledging his younger brother's superiority with a slightly bitter tone. Tsubasa sat down beside Azora, patting his shoulder to encourage him. "Don't be so pessimistic, Nisan," Tsubasa replied encouragingly. "It's because I've been training longer than you. You will definitely become stronger soon too." He tried to comfort Azora, although in his heart he knew that the difference in their current strength was not just because of the length of training. There was another, far more significant factor, namely the fact that Tsubasa was a cheater even though he didn't have a system. However, Azora also had his own advantages, namely the fact that the body Azora currently inhabited was a clone with untapped potential that was just beginning to be revealed. Azora's yellow-orange-gold eyes, resembling the sharp eyes of a hawk, were his new dujutsu. This mysterious power had just awakened within him, a surprise that even Tsubasa himself did not expect to happen so quickly. Actually, it was somewhat inaccurate to say that this dujutsu belonged entirely to Azora. This new eye technique was an unexpected side effect of Tsubasa's extensive research when creating the clone body that Azora now inhabited. When creating that clone body, Tsubasa had indeed mastered a bit of yin-yang release application, thanks to his in-depth research into the human body and soul. It was this yin-yang release knowledge that allowed Tsubasa to mix DNA from Madara, Hashirama, Kohaku, leader of the Kongo clan, and a ninja hawk into Azora's clone body. He was like a mad chef mixing various exotic ingredients to create a new dish that had never existed before. Azora's clone body was the only one that survived Tsubasa's various crazy experiments. Initially, he was just idly trying to combine DNA from various sources to see what would happen. However, after seeing the results, he realized that this body had extraordinary potential. He estimated that this body had the potential to awaken a unique new eye technique, a dujutsu never recorded in ninja history. And that prediction proved true when Azora unknowingly awakened his dujutsu while evading Tsubasa's attacks in taijutsu training earlier. That moment felt like a dream come true, a culmination of all his efforts and research so far. Tsubasa, who was sitting resting beside Azora who was still lying on the grass, seemed to see that this was the perfect time, so he would begin his acting performance. "Azora, it seems you have awakened an eye technique," Tsubasa said, pretending to have just noticed his brother's dujutsu. He put on a fabricated surprised expression, trying to convince Azora that this was a surprise to him too. "Really? How could it be? Does our clan have something like that?" Azora asked in disbelief. He was genuinely surprised by Tsubasa's acknowledgement. All this time, he had never heard of any Takagami clan members possessing a dujutsu. Their clan was better known for wind and lightning element-based ninjutsu, not rare and mysterious eye techniques. I don't know if the Takagami clan has this kind of dujutsu, Tsubasa replied in a mysterious tone. He deliberately made Azora even more curious. But when you evaded my attack earlier, your eyes changed color to yellow, orange, gold and looked like hawk eyes. Tsubasa added detailed descriptions to make his story more convincing. Did you feel something different at that time? Tsubasa asked, prompting Azora to tell about his experience when awakening the dujutsu. He wanted Azora himself to realize the changes in himself, not just simply accept his explanation. Oh, that's right, Azora replied, starting to remember the incident earlier. At that time, the world around me felt a little slower. Did I really awaken a night technique? Azora asked, still hesitant and wanting to make sure. He felt this was too sudden and illogical. How could he, who was born into a ninja clan considered ordinary, suddenly possess a dujutsu like some famous ninja clans? I'm sure my eyes didn't deceive me, Tsubasa said in a firm tone. If you really want to be sure, we can train more intensely than before later, and see if those eyes can open again. Tsubasa gave a suggestion that sounded logical and convincing. He knew that Azora was the type of person who needed concrete proof to believe something. Tsubasa gave another suggestion, or you can try focusing your chakra on your eyes, who knows that might trigger your dujutsu to activate again. He gave Azora initial instructions so that his brother could start trying to control his new dujutsu. Tsubasa was truly acting as a teacher guiding his student in understanding this new power. Tsubasa deliberately hid the fact that Azora's body was a clone and that the dujutsu was the result of his experiments. He only wanted Azora to focus on developing his new powers without being burdened by this complicated truth. He chose to tell a white lie for Azora's sake. He wanted his brother to have new hope and purpose in life after experiencing deep trauma, although the most terrible trauma Azora experienced was already sealed, but some scenes of the clan's destruction were still in Azora's mind. By having the dujutsu, Azora would have a new identity as a talented ninja, which would help him rebuild his self-confidence and the spirit of his life that had been lost. After hearing Tsubasa's explanation, Azora was again enthusiastic about training. He wanted to prove to himself that he had truly awakened the dujutsu. He started trying various ways to reactivate his dujutsu. He focused his chakra on his eyes, trying to remember the sensation when his eyes changed color earlier. Initially, Azora experienced several failures. His dujutsu was difficult to reactivate according to his will. However, he did not give up and kept trying. Focus your chakra at this point, Nisan, Tsubasa directed, pointing to Azora's temple. Imagine the sensation when your eyes opened earlier, feel the different chakra flow. Tsubasa patiently guided Azora, giving instructions and encouragement so that his brother would not give up. Thanks to Tsubasa's guidance and perseverance, Azora slowly but surely began to understand how his dujutsu worked. He found the trigger for the dujutsu activation. It turned out, the key to activating this dujutsu was to focus chakra and his emotions on the desire to see more clearly, to see the truth behind the speed of the enemy's movements. It was this focused emotion and chakra that then triggered the change in his eyes. After several successful attempts, Azora became more skilled at controlling his dujutsu. He could activate and deactivate it at will. Every time this dujutsu was activated, his yellow-orange gold eyes radiated a sharp light, giving a majestic and intimidating impression like real hawk eyes. Along with that day's training, Azora became more accustomed to his dujutsu. His ability to activate it became faster and more stable. Azora realized that the main ability of this dujutsu at this time was to enhance his visual perception, allowing him to see movements around him become slower. This slow motion effect was very useful in combat. Azora could easily evade enemy attacks and find gaps to counterattack. He felt like he had super eyes that could see through the illusion of speed. In addition, Azora also felt an increase in reflexes and reaction speed when this dujutsu was activated. He became more agile and responsive to changes in the situation around him. His body moved faster than he had ever imagined, as if there was a hidden force driving him. Tsubasa observed Azora's progress with satisfaction. He saw that this dujutsu had great potential to become Azora's main strength in the future. With this dujutsu, Azora would not only become a stronger ninja, but also a unique and special ninja. He could not wait to see Azora develop the full potential of this mysterious dujutsu. After successfully mastering the basics of this dujutsu, Azora felt increasingly proud and confident with his new power. A wide smile continued to adorn his face, the sparkle in his eyes returned to shine like before. The awakening of this dujutsu truly gave him new hope. Tsubasa, what name do you think is suitable for these eyes? Azora asked, asking his younger brother's opinion about naming his new dujutsu. He felt that name was an important part of the identity of a power, and he wanted to give a proper and meaningful name to his dujutsu. Tsubasa thought for a moment, considering the right name for the dujutsu that resembled hawk eyes. Maybe you can name it Redogan, Fierce Hawk Eye, Azora, Tsubasa suggested. He chose a name that sounded majestic and reflected the power and sharpness of hawk eyes. Redogan, Fierce Hawk Eye. Azora repeated the name, savoring each syllable. He felt the name sounded cool and was very fitting for his dujutsu. The name had an aura of power and ferocity, like the gaze of a hawk swooping down on its prey. Redogan, Fierce Hawk Eye, a good name. I agree, let's call it that, Azora said, accepting the name suggestion from Tsubasa. He felt the name truly represented the power and potential of his new dujutsu. After the naming of the dujutsu was completed, Tsubasa explained Azora's next training plan. Starting tomorrow, we will focus training on maximizing the potential of Redogan. He had already compiled a more structured and intensive training plan to develop Azora's Redogan. We will train your chakra control, reaction speed, and visual perception. In addition, we will also develop new jutsu that are suitable for Redogan, Tsubasa explained. He wanted Azora not only to master the basics of Redogan, but also to be able to develop advanced applications and techniques that could maximize the potential of the dujutsu. Because this dujutsu had abilities somewhat similar to Sharingan, Tsubasa planned to teach his brother the Chidori ninjutsu series. Tsubasa added in his heart, we will also explore other potential powers that may be hidden within you, such as wood or crystal elements, which may come from Hashirama and Kohaku's DNA. He was still curious about the hidden potential of Azora's clone body. He was sure that Redogan was just the beginning, and there were many other powers waiting to be awakened. Azora listened to Tsubasa's training plan with enthusiasm. He could not wait to start intensive training and delve deeper into the potential of his Redogan. His spirit to become stronger rekindled, even greater than before. I'm ready, Tsubasa. I will train as hard as possible to master Redogan and become a stronger ninja, Azora said with burning determination. His eyes radiated unwavering confidence and fighting spirit. The awakening of Redogan gave new hope to Azora. This dujutsu became a source of motivation and a new purpose in his life. He no longer looked gloomy and lost his spirit. He again showed enthusiasm and joy in going through his days. Intensive training with Tsubasa became a new routine that Azora enjoyed. He trained hard and disciplined, showing rapid progress from day to day. The presence of Redogan also increased Azora's self-confidence. He felt that he possessed a meaningful power, a power he could use to protect his loved ones and build the future of the Takagami clan. Tsubasa was very happy to see the positive changes in Azora. He knew that his white lie about the origins of Redogan had had a good impact on his brother. The lie might not have been entirely true, but his intention was sincere to rekindle Azora's spirit and hope. Preparations for moving to the new ninja village continued. All members of the Takagami clan worked together with high enthusiasm, preparing themselves for a new life in a new place. The atmosphere in Takagami Valley leading up to the move was filled with a mixture of parting sadness and hope for the future. They were leaving behind memories of the past, but carrying with them enthusiasm and determination to achieve glory in their new village. This ninja village, under Tsubasa's leadership and with Azora's new power, was ready to begin a new chapter in the history of the ninja world. Chapter 26, The Final Judgment. The week leading up to the village relocation became a busy one for Tsubasa. He established a solid routine, dividing his time between training Azora and managing his personal affairs. Every afternoon, he dedicated his time to helping Azora train, focusing on developing Redogan and improving his brother's physical fitness. Under Tsubasa's guidance, Azora showed remarkable progress. His chakra control improved, as did his taijutsu skills and his understanding of Redogan. Azora trained diligently, as if wanting to prove that he deserved this new power. Sometimes, during training breaks, Azora would joke, "Tsubasa, are you secretly the reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths? How do you know so much about ninja?" Tsubasa would just laugh in response, inwardly grateful to see Azora cheerful and enthusiastic again. "Ah, that's a trade secret, brother," Tsubasa would reply jokingly. However, nighttime was when Tsubasa took care of other, equally important, and far darker matters. After dinner, he would busy himself with two main agendas. The first agenda was checking the research progress conducted by his shadow clones in his secret laboratory. Every night between 7 and 9 p.m., Tsubasa always made time to visit the lab. "Bunshin, how's the progress on the chakra enhancement serum research? Any strange side effects?" Tsubasa would ask every time he entered the lab, greeted by the pungent smell of chemicals. There, he would review research data, give new instructions, and ensure everything was proceeding as planned. His research this time was highly complex, involving various disciplines of ninja arts and modern science. His shadow clones worked tirelessly, conducting experiments, analyzing data, and seeking new breakthroughs in various fields, from medical ninjutsu to village defense technology. Sometimes Tsubasa felt sorry for his bunshin who had to work hard every night, but what could he do? This research was too important to postpone. "Keep up the good work, bunshin. For the future of our village." Tsubasa would always encourage his bunshin, who would only respond with a brief nod and unclear murmurs, too focused on the microscope. The second agenda, and perhaps the darkest, was avenging the cruel treatment his parents and Azora received while imprisoned by the Karasuma clan. His vengeance still burned fiercely, demanding retribution. Every time he remembered Azora's face when he was first found in prison, with bloody and empty eyes, Tsubasa's heart would fill with anger again. Karasuma. You will pay for everything, Tsubasa hissed inwardly, his eyes flashing coldly. The nights in Takagami Valley bore silent witness to Tsubasa's busy life, split between complex scientific research and gruesome revenge. The peaceful and beautiful valley during the day transformed into a stage of darkness when night fell. Tsubasa's life was like two sides of a coin, daytime filled with laughter and hope, nighttime filled with dark feelings of darkness. Based on previous interrogations, Tsubasa had obtained the names of Karasuma clan members responsible for his family's suffering. One of the most prominent names was Karasuma Aikmi. Aikmi was the woman who was supposed to be his fiancée in the Karasuma clan's fake engagement. However, behind her sweet face, lay extraordinary cruelty. A demon woman with an angel's face, Tsubasa thought cynically every time he remembered Aikmi. She was the one who ordered Azora's eyes to be gouged out. The image of Azora's face when he first found him in prison, with bloody and empty eyes, always haunted him. That night, in the silent underground prison, Tsubasa confronted Aikmi. The woman cowered in the corner of the cell, her body trembling in fear. The prison was stuffy and cold, lit only by dim torches, creating long shadows dancing on the walls, adding to the eerie impression. Well, it's time for us to have a little chat, Aikmi-san, Tsubasa muttered with a mocking tone. Tsubasa's face was blank, his eyes cold, without a trace of emotion visible. Why did you order my brother's eyes to be gouged out back then? Tsubasa asked in an ice-cold voice, breaking the silence of the prison. His voice was low and menacing, making Aikmi's hair stand on end. The terrified Aikmi kept shaking her head, denying Tsubasa's accusations. Tsubasa-kun, forgive me. I wasn't the one who gave the order. It really wasn't me. Aikmi whimpered in panic. Tears began to flow, wetting her pale face. She tried to look innocent, but Tsubasa was completely unaffected by her crocodile tears. TCH, crocodile tears, Tsubasa thought in disgust. Oh, so you weren't the one who gave the order, huh? Good to hear then, said Tsubasa with a terrifying thin smile. The smile didn't reach his eyes, only his lips were pulled upwards, giving a cold and menacing impression. In that case, these fingers of yours must be innocent then, right? Tsubasa murmured, reaching for the woman's ring finger. He reached for the woman's finger, holding it gently, as if showing affection. However, that gentleness was only a fleeting illusion. Suddenly, Tsubasa pulled Aikmi's long finger back harshly, causing a terrifying cracking sound. Crack. Arg. Aikmi's hysterical scream shattered the silence of the prison. Extraordinary pain spread throughout her body. Tears flowed even more profusely, wetting her pale face. She writhed in pain, trying to break free from Tsubasa's grip, but in vain. Tsubasa's hand gripped her fingers tightly, not giving her a chance to escape. Mercy, Tsubasa-kun. Mercy. It hurts. Aikmi whimpered in a choked voice. Tsubasa ignored Aikmi's screams. He continued his torture mercilessly. His vengeance demanded retribution, and more. He would not stop until the pain suffered by his family was fully repaid. All of Aikmi's fingers were broken, her fingernails forcibly removed, but Tsubasa's anger still burned. He was not satisfied yet, his heartache and vengeance still gnawed at his soul, his heart remained frozen even at the sight of Aikmi's suffering. This is for your eyes, brother, Tsubasa whispered coldly. Finally, with a cold and unwavering motion, Tsubasa gouged out Aikmi's eyes, repaying her cruel actions against Azora with equal pain. Taste this, you demon woman. Tsubasa growled with satisfaction. Aikmi's screams continued to echo in the prison, mixed with curses and curses aimed at Tsubasa. However, Tsubasa was not at all affected. He remained calm and cold, like a killing machine carrying out its task. You're next, Tsubasa murmured, staring sharply at the other Karasuma clan prisoners. After finishing with Aikmi, Tsubasa continued his actions. He moved on to other Karasuma clan members involved in the murder of his parents and the torture of Azora. One by one, they felt Tsubasa's wrath. The underground prison became a silent witness to the horrific torture they received. Tsubasa showed absolutely no mercy. He repaid every one of their cruel actions in kind, and even more. His anger became the fuel that drove him to continue his revenge. That night, the Takagami clan prison was filled with screams of pain and the coppery smell of blood. Tsubasa satisfied his thirst for revenge, at least for the time being. There's still one more. Revenge, Tsubasa thought, preparing to face his final target. After completing his revenge on the other Karasuma clan members, Tsubasa faced his final target, Karasuma Range, the leader of the Karasuma clan. Range was a tough ninja. Even though his body had been brutally tortured, he still tried to restrain himself from screaming. His face was pale, but his gaze still held embers of hatred. He glared at Tsubasa with eyes full of vengeance, as if wanting to kill him with just a look. TCH, this old geezer is stubborn too, Tsubasa thought, grinning cynically. Tsubasa tried to interrogate Range, hoping the old man would reveal the real motive behind the Karasuma clan's sudden actions. However, Range remained silent, choosing to endure the torture rather than giving the information his enemy wanted. You think you can get away with just being silent, huh? You're dead wrong, old man. Tsubasa growled in frustration. His patience ran out. He realized that Range would never cooperate. He decided to use a last resort to get the information he wanted. Tsubasa summoned Venom. This time, Venom did not transform into a giant worm, but was just a thick black liquid flowing from Tsubasa's body. The liquid seemed alive, moving as if it had its own consciousness. Venom, it's dinner time, Tsubasa whispered to the black liquid, which responded with a wriggling motion. With a swift movement, Tsubasa directed Venom to Range's head, precisely in the brain area. Venom began to work, devouring Range's brain little by little. The unbearable pain made Range unable to hold back any longer. Screams of pain finally escaped his lips, echoing in the prison. The scream was a scream of despair, a scream of defeat, the final scream of a clan leader who had failed to protect his clan. Karasuma. Receive your retribution. Tsubasa exclaimed with satisfaction, watching Range writhe in pain. Even though he was tortured very badly, Range still refused to reveal any information. However, Tsubasa did not need Range's cooperation. He only needed his brain. After Venom finished devouring Range's brain, Tsubasa absorbed Range's brain along with the information inside to be incorporated into the giant brain sealed inside Tsubasa's body. The brain incorporated the new knowledge with the data he already possessed. The giant brain in his body worked quickly, analyzing and synthesizing information to find answers to his questions. Good job, Venom. You're indeed reliable, Tsubasa praised Venom, who returned to merge with his body. Finally, after a long and gruesome process, Tsubasa managed to find out the real reason the Karasuma clan relocated their clan and the hidden reason why the Karasuma clan wanted to destroy the Takagami clan. Tsubasa's instincts turned out to be absolutely right. The Karasuma clan relocated not just because they wanted to expand their territory or power. They had a much bigger and more dangerous goal, to control the power of the tailed beast. Tailed beast. So that's the reason, Tsubasa muttered, surprised and wary at the same time. The Karasuma clan had managed to find clues about the location of one of the sealed tailed beast. They found a dark blue bead that was the tailed beast's seal container. And according to information from several inscriptions at the sealing location, it seemed that the ancestors of the Takagami clan were the ones who sealed the tailed beast. But somehow, they forgot their duty. Tsubasa even suspected that this was also Kirizetsu's doing. Kirizetsu again. That guy is really the root of all problems, Tsubasa thought angrily. As the saying goes, if something bad happens in the ninja world after the era of ninja villages, then it's probably Danzō's fault. And if it's before the era of ninja villages, then you can suspect Kirizetsu. The ninja world was indeed full of intrigue and manipulation, and Kirizetsu was the mastermind behind many tragedies in history. The bead was located in a remote cave near the Karasuma clan's new territory. The cave was protected by a mysterious barrier formation. The Karasuma clan realized that the bead emitted an extraordinary amount of tailed beast chakra. However, they could not fully utilize that power because the chakra outlet hole on the bead was too small. All this time, the Karasuma clan had been trying to find a way to enlarge the chakra outlet hole so they could control and utilize the tailed beast's power for their own benefit. Tailed beast power. Indeed tempting, but also very dangerous, Tsubasa thought, warning himself. This ambition was the main reason why the Karasuma clan relocated their headquarters and why they destroyed the Takagami clan, who were considered to hold the key to unlock the tailed beast bead seal and carry out their plan. However, their efforts were in vain. No more legacy of sealing techniques remained in the Takagami clan. Because of that, Tsubasa became even more suspicious of Kirizetsu. Because only he could be so afraid of sealing techniques. Kirizetsu. You're really cunning, Tsubasa hissed angrily. Even if it wasn't because the Uzumaki clan became Rikido Sage's descendant clan who had the potential to reincarnate into Ajura, he thought Kirizetsu would have destroyed that clan already. Perhaps the Uzumaki clan in the future was also destroyed because Kirizetsu felt that his plan was half successful, and the Rinnegan had appeared, so the Uzumaki clan could be destroyed and disappear. Kirizetsu. Truly terrifying, Tsubasa thought. Tsubasa realized that the Karasuma clan's ambition to control the tailed beast was a very dangerous plan. If they succeeded, The balance of power in the ninja world could be threatened. He also realized that the search for tailed beast power might be the cause of the Karasuma clan's destruction in the future, even without his intervention, which is why they never appeared in the original story. Too much ambition often leads to disaster. Karasuma. You are dancing on the edge of destruction, Tsubasa thought. The location of the tailed beast beat inside a cave with a barrier formation caught Tsubasa's attention. He was curious about the barrier formation. The formation seemed to have been partially damaged by age, so it was no longer able to prevent outsiders from entering the cave. However, the formation was still functioning to prevent anyone from taking anything from within its protected area. An interesting barrier formation, Tsubasa thought inwardly, feeling challenged to learn more about the secrets behind that formation. As a researcher, he was always interested in new and mysterious things. He thought that the barrier formation must have a unique and complex mechanism. Studying the formation could provide new insights into fuinjutsu and high-level sealing techniques. He was also curious why the formation only prevented objects from going out, but not people from coming in. Was this the original design, or was there damage that caused the formation to change its function? Tsubasa planned to visit the cave where the tailed beast bead was located after this. He wanted to see the barrier formation firsthand and study it further. He felt that studying this barrier formation could be an interesting research project. Who knew, maybe he could develop a new sealing technique based on the working principles of the formation. In addition, understanding this barrier formation could also help him improve the barriers to secure their new ninja village from potential external threats. Strong defensive sealing techniques would certainly be very useful. Chapter 27, Great Harvest Night once again became a blanket for Takagami Valley. Beneath the crescent moon hanging in the dark sky, Tsubasa's figure once more slipped out, vanishing from the warmth of his home. Okay, Venom, time for another nighttime stroll, Tsubasa whispered to himself, his voice barely audible in the stillness of the night. Without waiting for an answer, because Venom certainly could not answer, the pitch-black liquid venom enveloped his body, and he disappeared as if swallowed by the earth, or more precisely, swallowed by the roots of trees in the earth's depths. His destination tonight was the Karasuma clan's headquarters. Not to dance on the ruins of victory, but to shop for leftover goods. Why is there a midnight discount like this? Tsubasa thought inwardly, trying to inject a little humor into his nightly mission, which was actually quite dangerous. Upon arrival, the barrier formation surrounding the Karasuma clan's headquarters still stood tall. Just as expected from the formation I created, Tsubasa murmured, slightly admiring the formation's resilience, although for himself, the formation was completely useless. After this, I'll dismantle this barrier formation, he continued inwardly. However, tonight Tsubasa did not go directly to the tailed beast cave. He had another priority, a Karasuma headquarters clearance sale. There was a hidden treasure awaiting him, an unexpected bonus from the memory autopsy of Karasuma Range. The sword of Kusanagi. Truly a valuable antique, Tsubasa thought, his eyes gleaming at the thought of wielding the legendary sword. The first impression in his memory of the sword was so strong, the aura of power it radiated, the sharp blade that could extend, and one of the swords he still vividly remembered from the Naruto stories he had watched since childhood. Orochimaru was really lucky to get this sword later. But for now, this sword is mine first, he monologued, a sly smile creeping onto his lips. Tsubasa sneaked into the Karasuma clan's main building, a building that was once magnificent, now felt empty and cold. He headed to the wall marked in Renge's memory. Knock. 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 He tapped the wall in the correct pattern. Hopefully the secret code hasn't changed, he muttered anxiously, although in his heart he was sure his memory from the giant brain could not be wrong. Slowly, the wall shifted, opening the way to a secret room. Bingo! Tsubasa exclaimed inwardly, feeling like an amateur detective who had successfully cracked a mysterious code. The secret room was not too large, but it was crammed with treasures. Gold bars were neatly stacked in the corner of the room, sparkling gemstones on the table, and in the center of the room, hanging gracefully on the wall, a sword radiating an aura of majesty, the sword of Kusanagi. Finally. I found you, Tsubasa whispered, his eyes fixed on the legendary sword. He approached, carefully reaching for the sword and drawing it from its scabbard. The silver gleam of the sword's blade reflected the light of the torch he carried, creating a dramatic effect that made Tsubasa even more captivated. The aura of the sword's power felt real, channeling warm energy into his palm. On a whim, Tsubasa channeled the little chakra into the sword, and instantly, the sword's blade extended flexibly like a snake. Wow! Cool! Tsubasa exclaimed in amazement, his eyes sparkling like a child who had received a new toy. This is what a legendary sword is all about. No wonder Orochimaru was so obsessed, he thought, feeling increasingly pleased with his discovery tonight. Tsubasa admired the Kusanagi in his grasp. The sword felt light yet solid, its blade as sharp as a razor, and its energy mysterious, Captivating, and intimidating at the same time. No wonder it's called a sacred sword. Its aura is indeed different, Tsubasa murmured, feeling like he was holding an ancient artifact full of history. He decided to take the sword with him. The sword of Kusanagi was resheathed and fastened at his waist. The sword seemed to blend perfectly with his ninja uniform, like an accessory that was always meant to be there. From now on, you'll be my partner, Tsubasa whispered to the sword, as if Kusanagi could hear him. With the sword of Kusanagi safely at his waist, Tsubasa's attention shifted to the other treasures in the room. Don't miss anything, he reminded himself, his eyes scanning every corner of the room. Gold bars, sparkling gems, luxurious jewelry. Everything looked so tempting. All of this is quite a lot for capital to build a new village, Tsubasa thought, his brain already calculating the potential wealth before him. Without the slightest hesitation, Tsubasa swept clean all the treasures in the room. He put everything into venom in its worm form. The giant worm happily swallowed the piles of gold and gems, its belly bulging like a balloon about to burst. Venom, you're really a treasure monster, aren't you? Tsubasa teased, chuckling amusedly at the greed of his ninjutsu-created partner. After ensuring no treasure was left behind, Tsubasa ordered Venom to dive back into the ground. Okay, Venom, time to go home. Time to go to the tailed beast cave, Tsubasa corrected himself, remembering his main purpose tonight. Venom obeyed, the giant worm's body sped into the ground, disappearing beneath the earth's surface, carrying with it Karasuma Renge's treasure trove, which now officially became Tsubasa's spoils of war. The Karasuma clan is completely bankrupt now. Not only clan members, but treasures are also looted. How pitiful, Tsubasa thought, pretending to sympathize, when in his heart he laughed with satisfaction. With a satisfied feeling of having successfully hunted treasure and a legendary sword, Tsubasa refocused himself on his main goal, the cave where the tailed beast was sealed. Okay, next mission, capture a giant cat, he muttered, joking a little to ease the tension. Venom enveloped Tsubasa's body again, and he once again dived into the ground. He reunited with the venom worm deep in the earth. Venom's belly felt slightly larger than before, probably because of the burden of the treasures it had just swallowed. Hopefully Venom doesn't catch a cold from eating too much gold, Tsubasa quipped inwardly, imagining the giant worm sneezing in the ground. Tsubasa moved quickly towards the location of the cave that Karasuma Renge had remembered. The underground journey felt faster and faster. Lucky to have Venom, the journey is fast and I don't need to be tired of walking, Tsubasa thought gratefully for his unique ninjutsu. It didn't take long for Tsubasa to arrive at the location of the intended cave. The cave looked increasingly dark and silent from the outside, radiating a mysterious and slightly frightening aura. Okay, this is the place, Tsubasa murmured, feeling the cold air and strange energy coming out of the cave entrance. Hopefully the cat is tame, he continued inwardly, a little nervous imagining the power of the tailed beast he was about to face. The cave looked pitch black like the gaping mouth of a dragon. Tsubasa picked some branches from the trees around the cave and lit them with fire style. A simple torch was created, breaking the darkness and illuminating the cave entrance. With the torch in hand, Tsubasa was ready to enter the cave. Tension still enveloped him, his heart was pounding, but his curiosity and determination to obtain the tailed beast were far greater than his fear. For the new village, for the future of us all, I must succeed. He resolved in his heart, strengthening his steps to enter the darkness of the cave. Tsubasa managed to enter the cave smoothly, without significant obstacles. It's easy to get in, is the barrier formation broken? He wondered in confusion. The cave passage was winding, deeper and deeper, darker and narrower. As he passed through the winding cave passage, Tsubasa's perceptive senses again picked up something strange. This is it. The barrier, he murmured, feeling the presence of a barrier formation in front of him. However, strangely, Tsubasa managed to pass through the barrier without any hindrance at all. The barrier felt like an illusion, there but intangible, like wind blowing through his body. A strange barrier formation. Why isn't it working? Tsubasa wondered, becoming more and more curious about the mystery of this barrier formation. Tsubasa continued to walk deeper into the cave. The cave passage became steeper and darker, but the light of his torch was still enough to illuminate the path. Finally, the passage ended. Tsubasa arrived at the end of the passage and found himself in a very deep and spacious room. Wow! Tsubasa was amazed, a breathtaking sight unfolded before him. The room at the end of the cave looked like an ancient sacred chamber, like a hidden temple in the belly of the earth. Its walls were filled with ancient carvings and writings that were mysterious, radiating a mystical aura and the power of bygone eras. In the center of the room, a building resembling an altar stood firmly. And on the altar, in the darkness of the room, a dark blue bead glowed dimly yet intensely. That's it. Tsubasa whispered, his eyes fixed on the tailed beast bead that was the room's centerpiece. That bead was Tsubasa's main goal in coming to this cave. The tailed beast sealing bead, a container of immense power that the Karasuma clan coveted, and now, became Tsubasa's hunt target. Tsubasa approached the bead with cautious steps. His ever-alert perceptive senses felt strong chakra waves emanating from the bead. Extraordinary energy. Tsubasa murmured, feeling the pressure of the tailed beast chakra that was so immense. From his perception, Tsubasa concluded that the tailed beast chakra felt burning hot and bone-chillingly cold at the same time. Contradictory energy. But very powerful, he thought, sensing the strange but deadly duality of energy. Based on these chakra characteristics, Tsubasa was almost 90% sure that the tailed beast sealed in the bead was the Two Tails, Nibai, the blue fire cat, Matatabi. So the blue cat was hiding here, Tsubasa murmured, slightly relieved that his guess was correct. Tsubasa observed the altar and the tailed beast bead carefully. He realized that he could not just take the bead carelessly. A more complex and powerful barrier formation protected this room, separating the altar from the outside world. High-level barrier formation. Interesting, Tsubasa thought, a thin smile returning to his lips. He understood that he had to break the barrier formation first if he wanted to get the tailed beast bead. This will be a fun challenge, he thought enthusiastically, his researcher's soul ignited again. Without the slightest hesitation, Tsubasa sat cross-legged in front of the altar. He closed his eyes, focused all his concentration, and activated his perception ninjutsu and giant brain simultaneously, maximizing his analytical abilities. His brain worked like a supercomputer, processing information at lightning speed. Tsubasa began to study the logic and workings of the seal ninjutsu that formed the barrier formation in the room. Time passed unnoticed, the imaginary clock on his head seemed to stop ticking. Tsubasa sat in meditation for almost an hour and a half. He wrestled with his thoughts and perceptions, striving to understand the intricacies of the complex barrier formation. Seal pattern. Chakra structure. Activation mechanism. Tsubasa monologued inwardly, his brain continuing to work hard analyzing every detail. Thanks to his deep understanding of seal ninjutsu and the help of his super-sophisticated giant brain, Tsubasa slowly but surely began to understand the patterns and structure of the barrier formation. Ah, I understand now. Tsubasa exclaimed inwardly, finding a light in the darkness of the barrier formation mystery. Turns out the key is here. He thought with a thin smile. Finally, after a long struggle, Tsubasa reopened his eyes. His face showed confidence and firm determination. He knew exactly what to do to open the barrier. Without wasting time, Tsubasa began to weave hand seals with incredibly fast and intricate movements. His fingers danced nimbly, forming a series of seals that radiated tremendous chakra energy. His chakra surged, swirling around him like a vortex of energy ready to explode. After completing the complex series of hand seals, Tsubasa slammed his hands to the ground. Boom! Chakra energy spread throughout the room, resonating with the barrier formation. The room vibrated slightly, the light of the carvings on the walls grew brighter, as if the barrier formation was responding to Tsubasa's chakra. Suddenly, the barrier formation that protected the room opened perfectly. The dim light from the tailed beast bead became clearer, radiating an increasingly intense aura of power. Success! Tsubasa exclaimed inwardly, a feeling of satisfaction and relief surging in his chest. He had succeeded in opening the barrier without damaging the seal on the tailed beast bead itself. My sealing skills are indeed something else, Tsubasa thought proudly, acknowledging his own expertise in fu ninjutsu. This success was real proof of his extraordinary ability in seal ninjutsu and his deep understanding of barrier formations. He realized that if he did not possess this knowledge and ability, he would never have dared to try opening the barrier. One wrong step, and it could be disastrous. The tailed beast could be released and rampage, he thought, shuddering at the thought of the consequences of failure. Maybe that's also what will destroy the Karasuma clan if I don't act fast, he continued, feeling increasingly convinced that his actions of avenging the Karasuma clan were the right decision. With the barrier open, Tsubasa took the tailed beast bead very carefully, as if holding a time bomb ready to explode at any moment. He let the venom worm swallow the bead, storing it safely in its internal dimension. Safe. Finally got it, Tsubasa murmured in relief, looking at Venom, who now seemed full with tailed beast energy. With a joyful and satisfied feeling of having successfully obtained the night's big harvest, treasure, a legendary sword, and a tailed beast, Tsubasa left the tailed beast seal cave and returned to Takagami Valley. Tonight was a very precious night for him, a night that marked the end of the revenge chapter and the beginning of a new chapter with new power in his hands. Time to go home and sleep soundly. Tomorrow is the last day before we officially move, Tsubasa thought, a small smile adorning his face. Chapter 28, Mapping the Future. The morning sun greeted Takagami Valley with its warm rays, but for Tsubasa, his spirit was already ablaze even before sunrise. He woke up bursting with energy. Flashes of memories from the previous night's haul, The legendary sword of Kusanagi and the tailed beast bead brimming with chakra power, flooded his mind with joy and a sense of accomplishment. A productive night, Tsubasa thought as he stretched his muscles, a satisfied smile etched on his face. Kusanagi. Nibai. Last night was truly my lucky night, he murmured happily, grateful for his immense fortune yesterday. Without delay, he prepared for his usual morning jog. Morning jog, clear mind, solid plan. The signature move of a successful man, Tsubasa thought as he tied his shoelaces, feeling a little narcissistic but also confident. While running around the valley still shrouded in a thin mist, Tsubasa's mind was already wandering far, filled with grand plans for the ninja village he was about to build. The vision of his dream village began to take clear shape, like a painting slowly being colored on the canvas of his mind. Our ninja village will definitely become the greatest, strongest, and richest ninja village in the ninja world. He monologued enthusiastically, his footsteps quickening in pace with the surge of his ambition. The first and most important thing he had decided was to keep the existence of his ninja village a public secret, at least until Hidden Leaf Village was successfully established. Let Hidden Leaf Village be the center of attention first. Let our ninja village move in silence, like true ninjas, Tsubasa thought. There was a strong reason behind this decision. Being the first village is not an advantage, but a potential problem. The first village is like the eldest child who is always targeted by their envious younger siblings, he thought again, realizing the vulnerability of being a pioneer. Oh God. Hopefully Hashirama and Madara will end their eternal war soon and establish Hidden Leaf Village as soon as possible, Tsubasa murmured anxiously, imagining the two ninja legends still locked in an endless slugfest. He hoped his plan would run smoothly, without interference from outside parties before his village was truly ready. The second plan was to make his ninja village economically independent. He didn't want his village to depend on the daimyo like other ninja villages in general. A ninja village begging from a daimyo? Not cool. Tsubasa thought cynically, picturing other ninja villages having to submit to the will of the land rulers. Economic independence was the foundation of true strength. Takagami Village must become a wealthy ninja village, able to finance itself, and even by other villages if necessary, he thought, his ambition soaring ever higher. Even so, in his rough plan, he would still try to control the daimyo and some nobles. Political control is like a voucher to launch ambitious projects, Tsubasa thought, comparing politics to shopping discounts. Political control would streamline the village establishment process and his ambitious projects, especially the crazy infrastructure projects he had designed in his head. To realize this political control, his shadow clones were working hard in a lab, creating a derivative of the venom ninjutsu that could influence the subconscious of targets. Venom brainwashing version. Sounds very evil, Tsubasa thought, chuckling, realizing the dark side of his plan. Although the effect was not as strong as Shizue Uchiha's Koto Umatsukami, it was at least enough to give subtle suggestions to the stubborn daimyo and nobles. The third plan was a ninja world tour? Time for a study tour for the ninjas from the Takagami clan, Tsubasa thought, imagining the fun of their future journey. This time, he wanted to take Azora and his subordinates on a trip around the ninja world to broaden their horizons and gain experience. The ninja world is vast, don't just stay cooped up in Takagami Valley, he thought, feeling responsible for opening the eyes of those around him to the outside world. Tsubasa thought that a ninja world tour would be beneficial for himself, Azora, and his subordinates. Especially since their children were starting to grow up, so it wouldn't be too difficult to leave the children behind to travel. Experience in the outside world is more valuable than gold. Who knows, we might find other treasures out there, he monologued excitedly, imagining the exciting adventures that awaited. In addition to enjoying the journey and broadening their horizons, Tsubasa had three main goals on this trip. Important missions that he had to complete. The first goal was to find war-orphaned children who were often victims of the wars happening in this era of chaos. War is indeed cruel, its victims are always the weak, especially children, Tsubasa thought with concern. He was sure the number of war victims must be enormous, especially innocent children from civilian backgrounds. After finding them, Tsubasa would try to invite them to join him. He wanted to give them a chance to have a better life. These children are the seeds of the future. If nurtured properly, they can become great ninjas or useful village residents, he thought optimistically. If they were interested in becoming ninjas, Tsubasa would give them the chakra activity-enhancing serum being developed by his shadow clones, even though the serum was not yet perfect. Chakra booster serum. Hopefully there are no strange side effects, he murmured a little worriedly, imagining the children suddenly growing wings or horns. If they chose to become ordinary people, Tsubasa would also give them the opportunity to live peacefully in his new ninja village. My ninja village must be an inclusive village, accepting anyone regardless of background, he resolved, wanting to build a village full of love and compassion. The second goal was to map the ninja clans around the land of Tea during his search for war victims. Ninja Clan Map. Like playing a strategy game, looking for resources and potential alliances, Tsubasa thought, comparing the ninja world to a video game. This information would be very useful for his ninja village's recruitment and diplomacy strategies in the future. If he found ninja clans that aligned with his vision, he would note their existence and try to invite them to join once his ninja village was established and ready to be publicized. Strong clans, with potential, and willing to cooperate. Those are the main targets, he thought selectively. For other ninja clans that did not meet his criteria, Tsubasa would still note their existence and make plans to handle them later if needed. Problematic clans must be secured before they cause trouble, Tsubasa thought in a serious tone, realizing that the ninja world was not always friendly and peaceful. The third goal, which was still related to mapping the Land of Tea, was to plan the construction of a railway network throughout the Land of Tea. Railways. A symbol of progress and connectivity, Tsubasa thought, imagining modern trains speeding through a ninja world that was still largely traditional. An ambitious infrastructure project to improve the regional economy. Currently, his shadow clones were also researching steam engines that could be installed on trains. Ninja steam engine. Hopefully it doesn't explode during testing, Tsubasa murmured anxiously, imagining a scene of a massive explosion in his lab. Modern transportation technology was key to progress. Tsubasa realized that to improve the economy of the region, smooth transportation was a top priority. This railway will be the economic lifeline of the Land of Tea in the future, he resolved firmly. That was why he planned to control some nobles and daimyo, to smooth the way for the railway construction plan and his other ambitious projects. Daimyo and nobles must be coaxed. Or slightly forced. For the sake of common progress, Tsubasa thought with a sly smile, realizing that sometimes gentle coercion was necessary to achieve greater goals. In addition to building railways, the regional map he created would also be useful for determining the locations of communication towers he wanted to build. Communication is a powerful weapon that is not really noticed in this era, Tsubasa thought. A wide communication network would be very important in the future. For the railway business, Tsubasa planned to collaborate with various noble clans. Cooperation is important, mutually beneficial, he thought wisely. However, for the communication business, he wanted to monopolize it himself. Controlling communication is a great power. Information is everything, he thought very seriously, realizing how strategic it was to control the communication network. To realize the communication business monopoly, Tsubasa would try to buy strategic lands that he would use to build communication towers. Marginal lands that nobles don't really care about. Those are the targets, Tsubasa thought shrewdly. He was sure he could buy those lands cheaply, because the nobles might not yet realize the great potential of those lands in the future. Tsubasa's vision far surpassed the views of people in this era. They think that land is worthless. But just wait, they'll regret it later, he monologued with a mysterious smile, feeling like a genius property investor who had found hidden gold mines. Amidst the busyness of designing plans in his head, Tsubasa finally finished his morning jog. Sweat drenched his body, but his mind felt clear and refreshed. Jogging done, plans are solid, time to go home and make preparations for the move, Tsubasa thought, drying his sweat with a towel. Initially, he planned to go straight home, but his plan changed when he saw one of his shadow clones in charge of the laboratory approaching him. The shadow clone had came to report the latest research developments in the lab. Important information that could not be delayed in delivery. Wow, it's rare for a bunshin to come this early in the morning, it must be big news, Tsubasa thought curiously. Some might ask, why didn't the shadow clone just dispel the cloning technique so that his memories would be directly channeled to the main body, instead of bothering to report manually like this? The reason was because the shadow clone was not only tasked with reporting information, but also had to continue the research they were working on in the lab. They couldn't just stop. Bunshin are like employees who must continue working, not allowed to skip work just for a report, Tsubasa thought, likening his bunshin to diligent office workers. In addition, processing complex and complicated memories such as scientific research results instantly also required time and concentration for Tsubasa's brain. My brain isn't a supercomputer that can process data at lightning speed, he thought, realizing the limitations of his human body. Even though he had a giant brain sealed in his body, he also wouldn't use it for trivial things like receiving memories from shadow clones. Moreover, the giant brain was also not omnipotent, there was a daily usage limit, so he prioritized using it for something more important and useful, such as conducting scientific research and creating ninjutsu. Therefore, Tsubasa usually scheduled a specific time for his shadow clones to disappear and transfer their memories, namely at night while he slept. Nighttime is data synchronization time between the main body and bunshin, he thought, again comparing the memory transfer process to computer data synchronization. This way, the memory transfer process would not interfere with his daily activities. He could focus on other tasks during the day, and received the latest information from his shadow clones during his nighttime rest. Shadow clones would also not disappear all at once. They would disappear alternately in small groups every night. Bunshin work rotation schedule system, so there's no labor vacuum in the lab, Tsubasa thought, returning to the world of work analogy. After receiving the memories of some of his shadow clones, usually only the next morning, Tsubasa would create new shadow clones to replace the clones that disappeared the night before. An efficient and organized system. Without further ado, the shadow clone immediately conveyed the purpose of his arrival to Tsubasa. Main body, there's a breakthrough in our research, do you want to come to the lab? Or should one of us just dispel? The Bunshin asked in a slightly joking tone. Breakthrough. Wow, good news. Tsubasa exclaimed enthusiastically. Good news always energized him, especially if it concerned his research. In that case, let's go to the lab. Tsubasa replied, his footsteps reflexively moving quickly towards the laboratory. Curiosity and anticipation filled his mind. He couldn't wait to see the research breakthrough his Bunshin was talking about. Hopefully it's not a serum that makes people grow wings. Or horns, he murmured anxiously, but still enthusiastically heading towards his underground lab. Chapter 29, A Farewell to the Valley. As soon as he arrived at the underground laboratory, Tsubasa immediately exclaimed joyfully to all his clones who were working. Research breakthrough. In what research field? He asked in a loud and enthusiastic tone, his voice echoing in the usually silent laboratory space. Don't tell me we've managed to create a time machine. He quipped jokingly, although in his heart he hoped the surprise that awaited would be even more sensational than just a time machine. Hearing Tsubasa's exclamation, all his clones turned their heads in unison. The sight of dozens of identical faces staring at him with calm yet curious expressions always felt strange, but Tsubasa was used to it. One of them, the clone tasked with recording all research progress, immediately approached him. This clone always carried a thick notebook and a quill pen, looking like a medieval scientist who had wandered into a modern laboratory. Meanwhile, the clone who had accompanied him to the laboratory immediately left the room, returning to his duty of maintaining laboratory security. So loyal, like a guard dog, Tsubasa thought amusedly, watching the clone's back receding. If that clone could read his main body's mind, he would surely kick him with a Kamen Rider-style kick. The research recording clone who had just arrived immediately explained the research breakthrough that had been achieved. Good news came in an unrelenting flood. Main body, there are several very exciting pieces of good news today, said the clone in a formal tone, opening his notebook and starting to read the report. First, we have successfully improved Venom's ability to influence the subconscious of targets. The clone explained quite excitedly, starting the explanation with an achievement that they had all been eagerly awaiting. Venom brainwash. Finally done. Tsubasa exclaimed inwardly, his eyes sparkling impatiently to hear the details. The clone explained that the latest version of Venom was now capable of this. The method of use was also quite simple and inconspicuous. Just attach a little venom to the target, and voila! They become easily controlled, the clone explained in a proud tone, as if he were a magician who had just performed a dazzling magic trick. This news made Tsubasa's eyes sparkle. The potential applications of Venom becoming wider made him even more enthusiastic to learn more about the increasingly refined Venom. This Venom is truly a versatile ninjutsu. It can be a weapon, it can be a means of transportation, and now it can be a political tool too, Tsubasa thought in admiration, realizing how versatile his creation ninjutsu was. The working method is to separate a small part of Venom and attach it to the target. The clone continued his explanation about the subconscious mind controlling Venom. Like attaching a small chip to the target's body, Tsubasa thought, imagining himself as a secret agent on an important mission. Venom that is attached to the target will soon change color to resemble the target's skin color, so it will not arouse suspicion. Continued the clone. Perfect camouflage, like a ninja chameleon, Tsubasa murmured in awe at Venom's adaptability. Then, Venom will produce a special substance that will enter the target's body and influence their subconscious. The influence of this Venom will make the target more easily agree or say something according to your wishes. The clone ended his explanation. Like hypnotic suggestion. But ninja version, he thought again. Although not as powerful as Koto Matsukami, the effects were significant enough for certain purposes. Tsubasa planned to use this version of Venom to influence the subconscious minds of nobles and daimyo. A subtle tactic to smooth the way for his future plans. Mind control. A frightening yet tempting power, Tsubasa thought, realizing how dangerous this new power could be if it fell into the wrong hands. Control over the rulers would have a major influence on the establishment of his ninja village and the infrastructure projects he planned. Tsubasa imagined how easy it would be for him to get support and approval from the rulers with the help of this subconscious mind-controlling Venom. Just stick Venom, whisper agree. Agree. Agree, and done. he thought, chuckling, imagining a comedy scene as he brainwashed the daimyo and nobles. However, he also realized that the use of this power must be done wisely and carefully. Great power. Great responsibility, Tsubasa murmured, recalling the cliché but still relevant proverb. Abuse of power could cause problems later on. He was determined to use this venom only for good purposes and for the advancement of his village, not for personal gain or to oppress others. With the subconscious mind controlling venom, Tsubasa felt increasingly confident in realizing his vision of a dream ninja village. My ninja village is ready to dominate the world, he thought excitedly. The clone continued his report on research breakthroughs, this time regarding the creation of a steam engine to run trains. Good news came again, as if unwilling to be outdone by previous achievements. The results of his clone's research this time were even more surprising. Besides successfully completing the creation of a steam engine, they also managed to replace the steam engine's energy source with chakra energy. Chakra-powered train engine. Genius! Tsubasa exclaimed inwardly, his eyes widening in disbelief. This chakra-powered train engine was far more powerful and efficient than conventional steam engines. An extraordinary technological innovation, even exceeding his own expectations. This is no longer an ordinary steam engine. This is a supercharged steam engine, Tsubasa thought excitedly. However, to realize a fully electric-powered engine, the clone said that it still required more time and further research. Electricity. The next challenge. But definitely possible. Tsubasa resolved, undaunted by the even greater challenge. The third research breakthrough was the creation of a computer. Actually, it was not entirely accurate to say that they created a computer from scratch. It turned out that in the ninja world in this era of chaos, there were already computer prototypes, but they received less attention and further development. A surprising discovery for Tsubasa. Computers in the Sengoku era of the ninja world? Who would have thought? Tsubasa thought in amazement, feeling like he had found a high-tech treasure in the medieval era. When Tsubasa first learned about the existence of these computer prototypes, he immediately met their creator and intended to buy all of his research results, even wanting to invite the creator to move to his village later. However, unfortunately, the computer's creator had passed away. A genius inventor in the wrong era. What a pity, Tsubasa thought with concern. Tsubasa only managed to meet his children, who turned out not to appreciate their father's discoveries much. Children who do not know how valuable their father's legacy is, Tsubasa thought disappointedly. When Tsubasa expressed his interest in buying their father's research, the children readily sold it. They even offered other research conducted by their father, like street vendors hawking their wares. This made Tsubasa even more concerned about the lack of appreciation for science in this era, but on the other hand he was grateful to be able to buy the research results cheaply. Finally, in addition to computer research, Tsubasa also bought 2 other researches from the inventor's children, namely research on incandescent lamps and thread and fabric making machines. Unexpected bonuses. Incandescent lamps and textile machines. My ninja village will become the fastest growing village compared to other villages. Tsubasa thought happily, feeling like he had hit a major jackpot. Profitable technology acquisition. The clone explained that the computer they had replicated had been equipped with a picture-based operating system or GUI, graphical user interface. A significant technological leap. GUI. Finally, this computer is no longer just a giant calculator box, Tsubasa thought in relief. They had worked hard to improve the computer, which initially only functioned as a calculator-like calculation tool, into a modern computer with a user-friendly interface. Although this computer was still the size of a wardrobe, this was a major advancement. The initial step towards the digital era in the ninja world. Wardrobe-sized computers. Sooner or later I will definitely be able to make everyone in the ninja world unable to live without smartphones like in my previous life, Tsubasa thought optimistically about the miniaturization of technology in the future. Currently, Tsubasa's clones were trying to create a printer that could connect to a computer. Printer. So ninja computers can print documents and selfie photos, Tsubasa joked inwardly, imagining the usefulness of printers in the ninja world. Printers would complement their computer ecosystem. The last research breakthrough reported by the clone was the chakra activity enhancing serum. A revolutionary serum that has the potential to change the face of the ninja world. Chakra booster serum. Finally, the dream of having an unlimited ninja army can be realized. Tsubasa exclaimed excitedly, imagining his troops armed with this magic serum. With this serum, people with poor ninja talent or even no talent at all could become ninjas with chakra power, although perhaps only at a Geinin level. Geinin. Not bad for cannon fodder troops, Tsubasa thought pragmatically, realizing the limitations of the serum. Even though it only reached Geinin level, this was already a remarkable achievement. This serum opened up opportunities for anyone to become a ninja, unhindered by natural talent. Even so, Tsubasa remained optimistic that he would be able to create an even stronger serum, which could increase ninja potential to a higher level in the future. The dream of creating an elite ninja army was no longer just a fantasy. Super Ninja Army will definitely be created. Tsubasa resolved, increasingly excited to face the future of his village. Tsubasa listened to his clone's explanation with overflowing enthusiasm and happiness. Their research results were truly extraordinary and exceeded his expectations. My clones are all geniuses. Tsubasa praised proudly, although they all relied on the giant brain, they were indeed hardworking. The news of the research success came just in time, before their move to the new ninja village. These technological innovations would certainly be valuable capital for building his dream village. After thanking and encouraging all his clones, Tsubasa left the laboratory with a light-hearted and joyful heart. He felt very proud of the hard work and dedication of his clones. My clones are indeed hardworking. It was not in vain that I created them, Tsubasa thought, smiling with satisfaction. Today, Tsubasa decided not to train with Azora. Because they were moving tomorrow, today was the time to pack the last of their belongings and prepare for departure. Last day in Takagami Valley. Time to say goodbye to old memories, Tsubasa thought melancholically, realizing that he would be leaving the place that had been his home for many years. The next day, in the bright morning, all members of the Takagami clan gathered outside the valley. Several horse-drawn carriages had been prepared to transport goods and family members. Horse-drawn carriages. Traditional but still romantic transportation, Tsubasa thought, imagining their journey later like a scene from a classic movie. This time, Tsubasa chose not to use Venom as the main transportation. He wanted to give the little children a chance to see the world outside the valley during the journey. The children must be happy to ride horse-drawn carriages, this is a new experience for them, Tsubasa thought, watching the children who looked enthusiastic about getting into the carriages. A slow journey by horse-drawn carriage would be a new and enjoyable experience for the children, as well as giving them a chance to adapt to the outside environment. The atmosphere that morning was filled with a mixture of joy and sadness. Leaving Takagami Valley meant leaving behind home and past memories, but also opening a new chapter full of hope. Goodbye Takagami Valley. See you again in the future, Tsubasa whispered inwardly, waving goodbye to the valley that had witnessed his family's joys and sorrows. Well, although for him, he was not moving completely, because all his clones still lived in this valley to conduct their scientific research. In addition, there were still some Karasuma clan members who were still imprisoned in this valley who required guarding from his shadow clones. He had not had time to erase the memories of some of them to be transferred to a remote village that he would oversee according to plan, because he was busy with the move. So he would often come back here later. Meanwhile, all other members of the Takagami clan were ready body and soul to move to their new ninja village. They might rarely return to this place, unlike him. After all preparations were complete and everyone had boarded their respective carriages, Tsubasa gave the final command. In a loud and confident voice, Tsubasa gave the order to depart. Let's go, he shouted, marking the start of a long journey to a future full of challenges and hopes. The horse-drawn carriages began to move slowly, leaving Takagami Valley, carrying with them all clan members towards the new ninja village that awaited them. Chapter 30, The Haunted Hill. The atmosphere of the Takagami clan's journey that morning was truly filled with joy and happiness. The cheerful laughter of the little children, Kotaro, Seiya, and Yumi, broke the silence of the journey, like a cheerful melody adorning the beauty of the countryside. Look, look, Tsubasa-sama. A river. Kotaro exclaimed, his eyes sparkling, pointing at a small river crossing their path. And there's a big bird flying. Seiya chimed in no less enthusiastically, pointing at a crane gliding gracefully in the blue sky. Yumi just giggled, also amused by her two friends' excitement. Their eyes twinkled with curiosity, captivated by the sights of the outside world they were seeing for the first time. Every lush tree, clear river, and wild animal that crossed their path became an object of their attention. The outside world is really fun, isn't it, Tsubasa-sama? Yumi asked innocently, looking at Tsubasa with her round, admiring eyes. Tsubasa just smiled, nodding in agreement. Yes, Yumi. The outside world is full of surprises, he replied gently, also happy to see the children's enthusiasm. At the beginning of the journey, the scenery around them was indeed beautiful and pleasing to the eye. Lush green trees shaded the road, clear rivers flowed, and the bright blue sky accompanied their journey. The scenery here is so beautiful, like a painting, Azora murmured in awe, admiring the beauty of the surrounding nature. Even though his body was an adult, Azora's memories were still those of a child. Kia, Benkai, and Jinga also seemed to enjoy this journey, albeit with more mature and restrained expressions. Not bad for a refresh after being busy taking care of the relocation preparations, Benkai quipped, sighing in relief. However, the monotonous natural beauty slowly began to cause boredom. The scenery that barely changed, Only trees and rivers adorning the roadside began to feel tedious. Why does the scenery keep being like this? Isn't there anything else? Seiya complained, starting to get bored, his eyes beginning to search for other entertainment around them. Kotaro yawned widely, signs of boredom also beginning to befall him. Even Yumi, who was usually cheerful, began to look a little listless. Even so, their mood remained good. Togetherness and hope for a better future in the new village made this journey still feel pleasant. Occasionally, Kya, Benkai, and Jinga cracked jokes to cheer up the children and dispel boredom. Azora also joined in the fun, telling funny stories of his childhood with Tsubasa. Back then, Tsubasa was smart alecky even when he was small. He loved drawing plans and this and that on the sand, Azora recounted while laughing, making Tsubasa's cheeks blush slightly in embarrassment. That's called vision, Nissan, Tsubasa retorted defensively when he heard his brother's teasing. The day was drawing closer to dusk when the Takagami clan entourage finally arrived at a small settlement that looked shabby and dilapidated. Looks like we have to stop here for the night, Kya said, observing the condition of the settlement. They decided to stop and spend the night in this place, looking for simple lodgings to rest before continuing their journey the next day. When they entered the settlement, they immediately felt a stark contrast to the natural beauty they had enjoyed before. The outside world turned out not to be as beautiful as they had imagined. This. Are all people outside like this? Yumi whispered in confusion, frowning as she looked at the scenery around her. They saw many people living in pitiful poverty. Their clothes were tattered, their bodies were thin and emaciated, and their faces showed the suffering of hunger. Their houses were made of ramshackle huts that were almost collapsing, far different from the comfortable houses in Takagami Valley. A foul odor wafted in the air, mixed with the smell of garbage and waste piling up everywhere. It stinks here, Seiya complained, covering his nose with his hand. Kotaro looked pale, his eyes widening as he saw this strange and chaotic scene. The bitter reality of the Sengoku-era world was immediately apparent before their eyes. The era of civil war had indeed left terrible impacts on the common people. Poverty, hunger, and suffering were rampant everywhere. This is the reality of the outside world, Tsubasa-nisama? Kotaro asked in a faint voice, his eyes glistening as he saw a small child begging on the side of the road. The three little children, who had grown up in a prosperous and sheltered valley, were shocked to see this scene. Their little hearts were touched to see the suffering of others. They're so pitiful. Yumi whispered sadly. The next day, after they had rested overnight in a simple inn, and as they were about to leave and continue their journey, the children approached Tsubasa. Kotaro, Seiya, and Yumi approached Tsubasa with sullen faces. Tsubasa-nisama, are we just going to leave without helping them? Kotaro asked innocently, pointing at some people in tattered clothes sitting listlessly on the side of the road. Hearing Kotaro's question, Azora, who was indeed kind-hearted, looked at Tsubasa with hopeful eyes. He also felt sorry to see the condition of the settlement's residents. Tsubasa, how about we help them a little? We have plenty of food and cloth supplies, Azora suggested in a soft tone, hoping his younger brother would agree with his idea. Kya, who always acted pragmatically, initially wanted to prevent the children and Azora from getting involved. Tsubasa-sama, we should not interfere in other people's affairs. Besides, Kya said in a flat tone, trying to dissuade Tsubasa from granting their request. However, Tsubasa cut him off, and instead signaled his permission. It's okay, Kya, Tsubasa said briefly, a thin smile etched on his lips. Understanding Tsubasa's intention, Kya finally abandoned his intention to refuse. He believed that Tsubasa had considered things carefully. Understood, Tsubasa-sama, Kya replied briefly, stepping back and letting Tsubasa make the decision. Finally, their group gathered some of the residents in tattered clothes and distributed some of the food and cloth they carried in the carriages. Happy smiles and sincere thanks from the residents who were helped warm the hearts of Azora and the three little children. It feels good to help others, Yumi said cheerfully, her smile returning after seeing the happiness on the villagers' faces. Kotaro and Seiya also looked happy and relieved. We should help other people more often, right, Tsubasa-nisama? Seiya asked enthusiastically. Tsubasa nodded, smiling. Of course, Seiya. Helping others is a good deed, he replied gently, proud of the children's social sensitivity. After sharing kindness, the Takagami clan entourage continued their journey. Azora and the three little children looked very happy and relieved. However, their happiness did not last long. In the middle of their journey, when the day was already approaching noon, they were intercepted by a group of bandits armed to the teeth. Bandits! Everyone, be careful! Benkai shouted warily, drawing his sword and preparing for the worst. Kya and Jinga also immediately stood guard, protecting the carriages carrying the children and other clan members. A more shocking surprise came when they realized that one of the bandits was someone they had helped in the shabby settlement that morning. The bitter betrayal felt like a stab to the heart. Isn't he the person we helped this morning? Azora asked in a shocked tone, his eyes widening in disbelief as he stared at the bandit who had betrayed their kindness. Kotaro, Seiya, and Yumi fell silent, a mixture of shock and disappointment filling their little hearts. Why were there such cruel people in the world? Why was kindness repaid with betrayal? How could he be so cruel? Yumi whispered faintly, tears welling up in her eyes again. Seeing the disappointed expressions on Azora's and the children's faces, Tsubasa finally spoke up. He wanted to give them a valuable lesson. Azora, Kotaro, Seiya, and Yumi, I will now teach you a lesson, Tsubasa said in a calm but firm tone. Helping others is a good deed. But never flaunt your wealth in front of strangers. Tsubasa continued, because we never know what kind of people we are helping. Like now, this is the consequence. He pointed at the bandit they had helped that morning with a cold gaze. Kindness is not always repaid with kindness. This world is not as beautiful as you imagine, he continued, trying to open the children's eyes to the harsh realities of the ninja world. Then why didn't you stop us earlier, Tsubasa? Azora asked in a confused tone. He was puzzled by his younger brother's attitude, who seemed to allow them to make a mistake. That's because I believe keeping a kind heart in an era full of chaos like this is something necessary. Besides, there is a second lesson I will give you, Tsubasa replied with a mysterious smile. As long as you are strong, such worries can be eliminated. After saying those words, Tsubasa rapidly wove hand seals. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Tsubasa shouted loudly. White smoke billowed, and dozens of Tsubasa's shadow clones appeared, filling the road. The bandits were shocked to see dozens of Tsubasa's shadow clones appear. Their numbers, which initially looked intimidating, now seemed small in the face of Tsubasa's clone army. How can there be so many? The bandit leader stammered in fear, stepping back as he saw Tsubasa's clone army ready to attack. Tsubasa's clones moved in unison, swarming the bandits. A ninja-style battle broke out instantly. The sounds of clashing weapons, whistling wind, and explosions of ninjutsu echoed deafeningly. One of Tsubasa's clones sped towards the bandit who had betrayed them that morning. You dare to betray our kindness? Taste this! Shouted the clone while delivering a powerful punch with chakra flowing fiercely into his fist. Fist of love! The clone yelled. The bandit was shocked and did not have time to dodge. Tsubasa's clone's punch hit his chest squarely, sending him flying far away and falling helplessly to the ground. Mercy! Mercy! The bandit whimpered in pain, regretting his actions. Other Tsubasa clones used fire style, great fireball jutsu, launching giant fireballs at the bandit crowd. The bandits panicked and tried to dodge, but some of them were still hit by the flames and screamed in pain. Arg! Hot! So hot! Shouted the bandits who were on fire, rolling on the ground trying to extinguish the flames on their bodies. Some more experienced bandits tried to fight back using swords and machetes. However, their movements were too slow in the eyes of the trained Tsubasa clones. One bandit tried to attack a Tsubasa clone from behind with a sword, but the clone easily dodged it with a very fast body flicker jutsu. That Tsubasa clone then turned around and kicked the bandit with a powerful lightning-style chakra-coated kick. Lightning-style shuriken. Another clone shouted, throwing lightning shurikens that hit the remaining bandits. The bandits were thrown far away and immediately fainted instantly. Within minutes, the battle ended in a landslide victory for Tsubasa's clones. The bandits lay helpless on the ground, cowering in pain and fear. Initially, Jinga, Kia, and Benkai were ready to step in to face the bandits. They felt it was unnecessary to trouble their lord for such trivial matters. However, before they could move, Tsubasa had easily subdued all the bandits using his shadow clones. Tsubasa-sama,